Nah, not carnal weapons, strong in Christ. Truth cuts deep, yeah, truth precise. Every high thing coming down. Watch those arguments hit the ground. First century at Lions Roar. Christians bled on the arena floor. Now roles reversed, hear that sound. We the lions all around. What's the context? Say it loud. Truth stands tall, we ain't bowed. When the word speaks, error fades. Light shining in every debate.
We take thoughts captive.
We pull lies down. Apologetic arena, lions wear the crown. Bold as lions stand and fight. Truth shines bright in the night. Arguments fall when the word comes through. Arena live, we coming for you. Ecosmios runs the show. Zara Grace keeps order though. Moderators hold the line, keeping everything aligned. Hebrew Israelites, atheists too. Rabbis talking old school views, fibbing Farouk in every claim. Step in the arena, leave maimed. Don't look down, you bleeding on the floor. Game over, hear that lion roar. Hey, hey, don't look down, you bleeding on the floor. Hey, hey, game over, hear that lion roar.
Beat you lightly with a miss wax stick. Every argument falls real quick. Spiritually neuralized, can't see clear. Truth right there, but they disappear. That might be clip of the month, we say. Another debate gone sideways today.
What's the context? What's the context? Who's the smallest lions? We are. We take thoughts captive, we pull lies down. Apologetic arena, lions wear the crown. Truth and love, but sharp and clear. Every argument disappears. Christ exalted, voices rise. Arena live, lions arise.
God bless, God bless, God bless. Welcome back to the Apologetic Arena Live. I'm your host Israel. You can also call me King Context, and today we're going to be making it hard on the mushrikun. All right. So we're going to be dealing with Islam today. If this is your first time here on the live stream, welcome to the live stream. Welcome to the channel. I've obviously introduced myself already. We help Christians defend the faith against Islam, like we're going to be talking about today. Hebrew Israelites, atheism, and rabbis like Tobias Singer, the Orthodox Jews. And today we're bringing back something which has been gone for a couple of weeks, but we're back now with what we've called Women Wednesday. We're helping our Christian ladies see that the lie that we're going to hear in a moment, again, that Islam, the religion of Islam, could ever honor women more than Christianity. It's a lie. And we've continued to have these conversations. We've continued to welcome in any Muslim who wants to have a conversation on this topic, for them to convince us, to tell us why apparently Christianity isn't good for women. Islam honors women more than Christianity on some way, shape or form. And I was thinking about this earlier on today, like maybe because today's April 1st, right? April Fool, like people like, are gonna think it's a joke. Like, no, there are actually Muslims out there who try to convince people that it's a better religion for women. So again, we're going to continue to have these conversations. If this is your first time, like, I'm just going to warn you now, the Muslims have had a habit of reporting the live stream, trying to get the stream shut down, which is mind-boggling and makes very little sense if you think about it. If you're dealing with a religion which has a setup which is more honorable for women than Christianity, why would these same very Muslims be reporting the live stream and saying, no, this is hate speech? Imagine. And I continue to say it, like, we're just reading their sources. How can reading the Quran, reading the hadith, which they say they accept, which they say they revere and honor and esteem highly, how can reading those sources and having conversations about those sources and asking questions about those sources be considered hate speech? Imagine someone asking me questions about what the Bible says, or someone's doing a live stream and they're talking about the Bible, and we as Christians are reporting it saying, no, this is hate speech. Don't let this message go out. Well, time and time again, this is what we see with the Muslims. And what's actually interesting as well on top of that is, obviously, no Muslims have been able to give us good answers. And we're going to see again if that's actually something which is going to show up or if it's going to be more of the same. So I'm just going to say, what do I believe is going to be the... I'll put it like this. Let's have some fun with this, like we did a couple of times. We did at least once last, right? How many times do you think the stream is going to get reported today? More than 7 times or less than 7 times? I think it's going to be more than 7, right? I'm confident that the Muslims, when we get into what we're going to be talking about today, again, are going to start reporting it in mass. So, does Islam honor women more than Christianity? This has been our habit. We're going to look at this video right here, right? Okay. Equals Mia says she guesses that it's going to be more than 7 too. Okay. We'll see what happens. All right. So, this is a video we've watched multiple times. This is a video as well, which is good because we hear the Muslim video he posted. This has got over 1 million views the last I checked. And what's interesting is this guy made this video, published this video, which says Islam honors women more than Christianity. He doesn't mention any Bible verses, but for whatever reason, he felt the need, the desire, the freedom to speak about Islam in comparison to another religion. Why is this significant? Because we're going to hear it again most likely today. A lot of people saying, well, why are you talking about Islam? Why are you mentioning my religion? Leave my religion. Are they going to say the same thing to their Muslim brother who did this, who did this video? This was a larger video. He obviously clipped a particular part. So let's listen to what he has to say again. And let's remember this when the Muslims decide to come on later and start saying, oh, why are you talking about Islam, etc. And another thing I'm going to say as well, guys, don't forget, if you haven't already, like it, because the Muslims are going to flag the live stream. They're going to report it. They're going to try and get it shut down in one way, shape or form. This is how you can help counteract that, by liking the stream and sharing it out with more Christians, even more Muslims, for them to hear this as well, right? Because ultimately, they're the ones who are reporting it. Also, the link is pinned in the chat section. Any Muslim who would like to call in and have these conversations is free to click the link if they're bold enough to have this conversation. All right. So let's watch this video and hear what the Muslim brother has to say. All right.
7th century Islam was saying women don't have to take the surname of their husband. In Islam, the mother, there's a saying of the Prophet that says paradise lies under the feet of the mother. Somebody asked the Prophet with regards to who deserves my companionship, my time, to the mother. Said, who next? Your mother. Who next? Your mother. Who next? Your father. This is the rights that are given to the mother. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, the best of you are those that are good to their women. In Islam, the rights of the women are more so than what was there at the time and what is even there today as well, because at that time when Islam gave the rights, later, about 1,000 years later, that's when women were allowed to vote. In fact, 300 years, in fact longer, in Europe they were debating if women even had souls, if they were even human beings. But Muslims were saying paradise lies under the feet of your mother. The best of the people are the ones that are good to their women folk. This is unheard of 1400 years ago. 7th century Islam was saying women don't have to take the surname.
Multiple times before. This individual Muslim, he titled his video Islam honors women more than Christianity, didn't mention any Bible verses, didn't even directly speak about Christianity. Imagine if I went out and I said, you know what, Christianity honors women more than Islam, and the only thing I spoke about was Christianity. Would that actually make sense? It wouldn't, would it? Hello.
Yo,
How you doing?
how you doing, man?
I'm blessed. Are you a Muslim?
Yeah. I've got females in my family, so I have a mother, I've got a sister, I've got daughters, I've got cousins. So we can talk about how Islam is worse for women than it is Christianity.
Have you got a wife?
Yeah, I've got a wife.
Okay. How long have you been married?
I've been married 17 years.
Okay. So I assume you disagree with what we're talking about today, right?
Of course, think if if we was in a Christian household, I don't think everything would have went as smoothly as it has for 17 years. The household is happy. I'm happy. My wife's happy. Everybody's happy. My daughters are happy. But if we was in a Christian household, I don't think everything would have gone so smoothly.
Could it be that your marriage has gone so smoothly because you're not actually following Islam the way?
Oh no, my wife.
The Prophet. Let me finish talking.
Yeah,
Let me finish. Could it be better? Could it be that you're not following Islam the way Muhammad or the companions, the rightly guided caliphs, followed Islam, which is why your marriage has actually gone so well?
Right. I try to follow the Sunnah as best as I can. So you tell me what you think I should do that the Prophet did that I'm not following exactly. You tell me what you think.
Okay, so I was going to talk today about, one of the things I was going to talk about anyway is how, okay, let me ask you this first, right? You believe the rightly guided caliphs, those guys are the best versions of Muslims, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, would you ever beat your wife?
No, not physically, no. I could be angry at my wife. I think that's very natural, especially in a long-term marriage for as long as mine. You could be angry at your wife. That's no problem with that.
I didn't ask you if you'd be angry. I asked if you would beat your wife.
Yep.
You said
leave
no.
a mark and no, not leave a mark.
You said not physically. Okay. So
no, even if it was physical, I'm not allowed to leave a mark.
Okay, so you would beat your wife.
I've done it once I've used a toothbrush to tap my wife once when I was annoyed with her.
You did it with what?
I tapped her with my toothbrush when I was annoyed with her.
It didn't even take that long, guys. So you beat her lightly with a miswak. That's what you did, right?
Yeah, with my toothbrush, yeah.
Okay. All right.
It got her attention.
Okay, so do you believe that the rightly guided caliphs beat their wives with a miswak too?
I'm not sure. If they didn't, they didn't follow the Prophet.
Are you sure?
I'm not sure if they did or didn't. You got information on that. You tell me.
Okay. I want to read something to you. You accept the Quran and you accept the hadith, right?
Which hadiths? They got to be sahih.
Okay, so you accept hadith.
As long as they're sahih, yeah, I accept them.
So you accept hadith, okay. If it's da'if, you won't accept it.
No.
Okay. All right. So let's read this one. Give me a second. Okay. So this is Sunan Ibn Majah, 1985. Sunan Ibn Majah, 1985. I'll read it for you, okay? This is, according to Sunnah.com, the chapter on hitting women. So it says, the Prophet said, do not beat the female slaves of Allah. Is that good or bad?
I don't know.
You don't know
What
if
do you
it's
mean?
good or...
Everything that Allah said is good. So I don't know what you mean when you say, is that good or bad? What do you mean, is that good or bad?
Is Muhammad Allah?
No, Muhammad is not Allah, no.
Okay, so I'll read it again. The Prophet said, do not beat the female slaves of Allah. Is that good or bad?
Okay. It's good.
Okay, it's good.
Yeah.
Then, let's continue. Then Umar came to the Prophet and said, who's Umar?
The Prophet's companion.
Okay, one of the rightly guided caliphs, yeah?
Yeah. Prophet
Okay.
Umar, yeah.
He said, O Messenger of Allah, the women have become bold towards their husbands. So order the beating of them. Is that good or bad?
I don't know. It depends on the response given and what the Prophet says. I'm not sure.
Okay, so if he says no, then it's bad. If he says yes, then it's good.
Right, yeah. Okay. But what did the Prophet say exactly? When you say order the beating, was that when the surah came down?
Let me keep reading.
The beating?
It says, so Umar says, order the beating of them because the women have become bold, right? They're getting rude. And then it says, and they were beaten. So who ordered them to be beaten?
sure. Are you talking about Muhammad?
You're not sure who ordered them to be beaten?
You're reading, and I don't know which part you're reading exactly. Are
I'm
you saying that
reading it.
Muhammad said they ordered them to be beaten?
Okay, let's start again. The Prophet said,
But why do we have to mess up? Just say it as it is.
Hold on.
Is
I'm
Muhammad
saying,
it's
bro,
okay to be
bro,
beaten?
I'm saying it as it is, and for some reason it's difficult for you to answer these questions. The Prophet said, don't beat the female slaves of Allah. Umar, you said you know who that is, came to the Prophet.
Yeah.
Who's the Prophet?
Yeah. Muhammad.
Okay, and said, the women are getting bold, order them to be beaten. And then it says they were beaten. So who ordered them to be beaten?
Prophet Muhammad.
Okay, thank you. So was that good or bad that he ordered now for them to be beaten?
But I've already told you that I've done it.
Answer my question, please. You just said before.
Yeah, it's good.
You just
It's good. It's brilliant. I've done it before myself.
So just slow down for a second. So earlier on, you said when he said don't beat the women, you said that's good. Now he said do beat the women. You said that's good as well.
Yeah, because there's a reason for you can't just beat them. If they're getting rude, you can show you're upset with them by beating them the way the Prophet beat them, which was with a toothbrush, tapping them.
Okay. Interesting. So I'm just going to say this again. You said initially when Muhammad said don't beat them at the beginning of the hadith, you said that was good. Now he says beat them. Now it's also good as well. Okay. This is Islam
When
for
they're
you
getting
guys.
rude.
All right. Let me continue. Let me continue.
No, there's
Hold on.
context. There's context.
Hold on. Let me read more.
Rude,
Let me read the context. Everyone heard everyone heard so far they're getting rude. We understand it. We understand already. They were getting rude. I'm not even saying a wife being rude or disrespectful is a good thing. I'm not even saying that. But we understand why Umar, one of the rightly guided caliphs, says he wanted Muhammad to order them to beat his wife, for the women to be beaten. All right, let's continue. Then it says, then many women went round to the family of Muhammad. The next day he said, last night 70 women came to the family of Muhammad, such women complaining about her husband. Then he says, you will not find those are the best of you. Okay. So if Muhammad, I've got a question for you. If Muhammad ordered these Muslims to beat their wives, and then the next day, because many of the women came complaining to Muhammad about their husbands, do you think it's right for him to turn around and say that they're not the best Muslims when they were following what he said?
Yeah, I do think it's right for him to say that, yeah.
Based on what?
Based on what are they complaining about exactly?
What you were just talking about context. What's the context of this hadith? They wanted to be beaten. Umar wanted them to be beaten. Muhammad ordered them and said, okay, they can be beaten. They obviously went off and beat their wives because they were being rude. And their women are now complaining. And now Muhammad is saying, guys, what are you doing? You're not like, this is not the form of the best Muslim. Even though Muhammad told them to go and do it.
Right.
You not see the problem?
If the women, so if the women are getting tapped, like I explained, not leaving a mark, and they're coming to complain that their husbands are getting upset with them, and Muhammad said they're not the best of women, I don't see your problem. What's the contention?
He didn't say they're not the best of women. He said the men that are beating the wives are not the best of Muslims. They're not the best.
The men that are beating their wives are not the best of men.
Yes.
Oh, right, okay. So what does that tell you?
That's the question I asked you. If Muhammad ordered them to beat their wives because they were being disrespectful, and now they went off and did it, and now Muhammad is saying you are not the best if you beat your wives, how does that make sense? He just told them to go and beat them. Now he's saying they're not the best for doing it.
Maybe they didn't do it correctly. Maybe, I'm not sure. I need to read into the context of what this all means. I don't understand.
All right.
What is your contention exactly? I don't understand your contention. What's the problem?
You said earlier on that you've been in a happy marriage for however many years, and I asked you, and
17.
I said, could it be because you're not following Islam the way Muhammad
I am. No, I am. I follow that beating verse. When I'm really upset with my wife, I tap her with a toothbrush.
Okay.
What's wrong with that? I don't understand the problem.
What makes you think it's talking about tapping with a toothbrush? This, for example, this hadith I just read to you. Does that sound like they beat their wives with a toothbrush?
I don't care what it sounds like. I'm telling you where I get my teaching from, which is directly from the Prophet.
You don't care what it sounds like?
No, But
Is
do
this
we disregard the hadith that says how to beat your wife?
this hadith? No, you don't. We just, I don't know
so
if you,
then-
hold on. Let me answer. I don't know if you heard before I started speaking to you. I played a video of a Muslim who was talking in this video about how Islam honors women more than Christianity. He highlighted multiple hadith which say and sound nice, but the problem is you could also find hadith which sound completely the opposite. So it's not, I'm not even denying that there's hadith or maybe even things in the Quran that may sound good. My problem is there's also other things in the hadith and the Quran that obviously sound bad.
For example?
We're looking at example right now.
No, yeah, but you haven't described the beating. You haven't said, because the description of beating that I've got is very specific. It says with a miswak. You know it yourself because you're the one who said miswak before I did.
Okay.
Now
that's why I asked you. Does it sound like this in that's why I asked you. Does it sound like all of these women that came to Muhammad's house the very next day were complaining because they got beat with a miswak?
I'm not sure, but the Prophet Muhammad said these men are not good, so I don't really care.
They're not good for doing what he ordered them to do.
Yeah, no, but no, they obviously didn't do what he ordered them to do. They did something else.
How do you
That's
know
why
that?
he's not. Because I've got no reason to believe that the Prophet would contradict himself.
Why not?
Why would I believe that when the Prophet explicitly states how to do it?
Okay, so if I show you a hadith where Muhammad says to the people do one thing and then the next day he says, he made a mistake, he shouldn't have, or he says it's not good, you can't do it anymore, wouldn't that disprove the point you're making?
Not really, because we believe in abrogation. We believe that the angel sometimes corrects the Prophet. We believe that Muhammad is not perfect in everything he says. Sometimes he's corrected. So yeah, that doesn't really change the fact.
So you're basically just saying that there's no way on earth that Muhammad could say something wrong, because you could at the very least just put it down to abrogation. Oh, God said to him one thing and then now God's changed it the very next day.
Right. So Muhammad has given us how to beat our wives, right? And now you're saying that there's a horrible verse that counters that. I'm waiting to see it. You haven't shown me anything.
I didn't say there's a horrible verse that counters it. I'm talking about a hadith, which is clearly, if you read it, this is why I keep asking you, does it sound reasonable that these women are coming to complain because they were beaten with a miswak?
To be honest, I don't really care, because Muhammad wasn't pleased with them, so I don't really care.
But you're saying you don't really care because you're assuming in this particular situation that he ordered them to beat them. They went out and beat their wives, but somehow they didn't beat them the way he told them to because he couldn't make a mistake.
Yeah, exactly, because he tells us how to.
How comes it? How could it not be?
He explicitly says, "Don't leave a mark."
How comes it couldn't just be abrogation?
No, because there's nowhere that says you can now leave a mark. That's why I know it's not abrogated. If he says explicitly cannot leave a mark and then says now you can leave a mark, that's abrogation.
Okay,
but
so
if he said explicitly cannot leave a mark and there's nothing else to say now you can leave a mark, there's no abrogation now.
Okay, so if you beat your wife and there's no marks, that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. If there's no marks whatsoever, it's fine.
Okay, because you do understand, obviously, you could beat your wife, she could have like layers on clothes on and you wouldn't leave a mark, but you could actually still hurt her, if you get what I'm saying.
How can you hurt her if you can't leave a mark? My wife bruises like a peach.
Do you not hear what I just said?
All you have to do is flick your wife, wife, and she'll bruise like a peach.
Did you not hear what I just said? If a woman is wearing layers, even if we know it's for anyone, a woman or a man, if someone's wearing layers and they're getting hit, that doesn't mean the hits aren't going to hurt them, but they're most likely not going to leave a mark.
They're most likely not going. So we're going into the science of what leaves a mark and what doesn't leave a mark.
No, I'm just trying to get you to reason and be reasonable. Like you're acting like you could. So why are you denying the fact that you could hit someone? And why are you denying the fact that you could hit someone who may have clothes on and it would not leave a mark as likely as someone who is like if you hit someone in the face directly? Have you never heard of people like who are into domestic violence? They do this sort of stuff. They'll make them put layers on so that
Christians are into domestic violence.
Oh, okay, interesting.
It's true. The West is humongous on domestic violence.
Okay. Whether the West is into that, what does that have to do with Christianity?
Because you're saying domestic violence as if it's targeted at Muslims.
No, I'm talking. I'm mentioning an example based on the sources that you say you accept.
I'm telling you, I've done these practices myself for 17 years.
All right.
And never have I left the mark, and never has my wife ever been that upset with me for me tapping her. Ever.
Okay.
I've hurt her more play fighting.
Okay. You've hurt her more play fighting than these women we're reading about in this hadith who
I'm
came to
telling
complain.
you my physical experience. I've hurt my wife more by accident play fighting than I
And
have
what?
when I was really angry with her, tapping her with my toothbrush.
Okay, so what would all that would show, if that's the truth, is like I said at the beginning of this conversation with you. Perhaps the reason why your marriage is apparently going well is because you're not following the religion the way these individuals are.
Well, show me where it counters the fact that you're not allowed to leave a mark, because that's where I get my teaching from.
I didn't say it doesn't have to counter that.
So that's how I get my teaching. That's why I've never ever harmed my wife ever, because
Okay.
I've never been able to leave a mark on her.
Okay, you
And
never.
those who are good are kind to their wives.
Those that are what?
Those that are good are kind to their wives.
If you follow the procedures to beat your wife,
Yeah.
wouldn't that be part of being good to your wife? Like, and then it is based on Islam.
Yeah, and I told you, I've already admitted to it, that my wife sometimes vexes me. She does crazy stuff, and I get so angry with her that I get so built up that I tap her with a toothbrush.
Okay.
Well, I don't understand the problem. What's the problem with that?
Because clearly, like the hadith is indicating, it's not talking about a light beating. These, or let me say it this way: these individuals are not doing a light beating. Pardon?
Has Muhammad ever said beat your wife black and blue?
Well, he doesn't have to say that. That's not the point.
Well, if he doesn't say that, and he says do not leave a mark on them, then what do I care what you think or what anybody else thinks?
Is beating your wife black and blue the only way you could beat someone? No. So why you're just going? You're going to some extreme. You're going to some extreme, and saying, "Oh, did he ever say this?" What does that have to do with what we're talking about? You don't have to give that command. Based on this hadith we've already read, clearly you don't need to give that sort of command for a man to go out and beat his wife to a point which causes them to complain. You want us to believe that either it's reasonable that these women would come and complain because of a light miswak tap, which you're saying yourself, oh, you've done that to your wife many times and you've hurt her more play fighting. So realistically, they're not going to come and complain to Muhammad because of that. Or they apparently didn't follow what he said. Yeah, but he didn't say. Yeah, and that's what I was going to say next. Or you're trying to say they didn't follow his command, which the hadith is saying they did follow his command.
Right. I don't know. It's a really weak argument, to be fair.
It's really weak.
Yeah. So far, it's very weak.
Okay, it's very weak. All right.
So far.
Okay.
Unless you bring something better.
Okay.
You're bringing a hadith that Muhammad wasn't happy with some people for doing, and you're assuming that is the teaching.
No, I'm not doing that. We read the whole hadith. We read the whole hadith.
Yeah.
One, we're seeing first and foremost that in this hadith, Muhammad is inconsistent. He says don't beat them at the beginning. One of his best friends turns around and says, oh, let's beat them. He turns around and says, okay, you can beat them. Then they go and beat them. And then he turns around and says, oh, what are you doing? You're not the best. You're not the best. You're not the best of Muslims. He doesn't even say you're bad Muslims. He just says you're not the best of Muslims.
Yeah.
So do you see the inconsistencies or you don't see it?
Yeah. Okay.
Do you see the inconsistencies?
Well, there must be more complaining. What's going on? No, there must be more to the context.
More to what context?
Why he was upset with them? Why did he say that they're not good Muslims?
Because they beat their wives. And the women, it says, many of the women came round. Like, to me, you could easily make the case that he's saying that now because so many women came to complain. He didn't want all these women complaining. So he's just like, well, look, like, you're not the best. He doesn't want all these women coming around to complain him. Isn't there something in the Quran, or isn't there, about how he was getting upset or annoyed that many people were coming to his house, right?
You could make that argument, but I've got no reason to believe that.
Okay. Why? Because it's unreasonable?
No, because that doesn't make. You think that the Prophet, who was persecuted by Qurayshian, which offered him the world, is going to get annoyed at a bunch of women coming to his house and him just making up laws as he goes along? I don't think so. They've got no reason to believe that. Sorry.
Well, this hadith, like, reasonably can take you to that conclusion. He starts by saying, don't beat them. Then he says, beat them. Then he says, you're not the best if you beat them. That's inconsistency, like, right there and then, because they complained. But think about it. Omar came to him.
Maybe they didn't beat their wives according to the way the Prophet described, which was don't leave a mark.
You said that already.
That's another option.
But it doesn't.
Why can't we take that option?
Because it doesn't say that in the hadith.
And neither does it say anything you're saying in the hadith.
Yeah, the reason why his response to the reason he says that, what it says before is many of these women came to the house complaining. So
yeah,
on a basic level, because many women came round to his house, that is why he turned around and said, you are not the best if you do this. Even though he had already said, you can beat them.
Right.
So
right.
I'm sticking closer to what...
Maybe.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you can stick to whatever you like. I mean, I take my teachings directly from the Prophet Muhammad. You're showing an inconsistency of teaching, which isn't really that inconsistent because we don't know the full context, why he was upset with these men. Did they beat him too hard? What was it? What was exactly it that he was upset? You're saying that it's because the women came and complained and he wanted to get the women off his back. I've got no reason to believe that.
Well, you've got no reason to believe it when that's what is mentioned in the hadith.
Yeah, I've got no reason to believe it. Do you know why? Because the Prophet was offered the world, I told you, and he rejected it all and was persecuted for it. So there's no reason to think that to stop his mission is a couple of women coming to his house. I don't think so. That doesn't make sense to me.
You don't think so?
Nope. Not when he was offered the world.
Okay, didn't Muhammad, right? He promised. I'll give you an example which kind of debunks what you're talking about right now. So Muhammad had a female slave, right? That he used to enjoy having intercourse with. You know about that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And he promised that he wasn't going to have a relationship with her anymore, right?
Yep.
Why did he promise to not do that anymore?
I don't know.
He promised because his wives were angry and they didn't like the fact he was doing the business with this particular female slave.
Okay.
So because some of his wives had a problem, he now promised and said, okay, I'm not going to do it anymore. That was his wives were nowhere near 70 women, but that was a few women on him that caused him to say, I'm not going to do something anymore. Only because the Quran says, Allah now turned around and said, why are you listening, basically following your wives when I've given you like liberties to do what you want with these female women? So you trying to say, all these women, so you trying to say all these women wouldn't change his mind. A couple of his wives complaining at him changed his mind on a particular situation. At least he lied.
Did the Prophet and did the God correct him and say, don't listen to your wives?
Yeah, God corrected. Yeah, God corrected him. I already said that, but that's the point I'm making.
Did God correct Muhammad about the beating of wives?
What does that have to do with what you're talking about? You said the reason I gave doesn't make sense. Why would he stop his mission or whatever, change his course because of all these women coming to complain? I'm literally giving you an example of a few women coming and saying, "Oh, we don't like this," and him changing. How do you not see the problem?
He mentions when God comes to correct him.
Okay.
But yet in this instance, when the women come to his house, he doesn't mention no God coming to correct him. So there's no cohesion there. There's nothing that blends there. It doesn't make sense what you're saying.
Okay, it doesn't make sense.
No.
Okay.
Do you have a better argument, or do you have another argument? Because this is not that great.
You know, just because you say it's not that great doesn't mean anything. You know that, right?
Well, I think it's exhausted on me. To be fair, I've answered. I don't know if you because you keep just repeating the same point.
Yeah, obviously, I'm not repeating the same point. I'm trying to reason with you because obviously you're not being consistent. You say something,
I'm being very consistent. I just told you I live according to what the Prophet taught me. When I'm really vexed with my wife, when she really vexes me, I get to the point where I've done everything. I'm not sharing a bed with her anymore. I stop talking to her. I do all of that, and she's still going on, I then tap her with a miswak.
Because you think talking and then banishing from bed and then some apparent apparent symbolic miswak is apparently like an escalation of problems, right?
Oh, it works. It definitely works.
Okay.
For somebody who never ever touches their wife, for me to pull my miswak out or my toothbrush out and to tap her with it, she goes, "Do you know what? He actually is really serious about this."
Why would that matter if you're never able to like hit her seriously anyway? Like any serious woman will just laugh at you.
No, a woman that respects her husband takes her husband seriously, even though she knows he can't harm her. She still takes him seriously. She gets upset that I'm upset if she knows that it's serious. And the only way for me to indicate that she knows that it's serious is when I tap her.
All right. Well, look, man. Think about the conversation we've had so far, man, and this conversation. Listen. This conversation was good for the most part, so you can call in again at another time. All right.
All right. Okay. No worries.
All right. God bless. Wowza, guys. They flagged the live stream once already, just for the record, right? So this is what's so crazy, right? The seeds definitely have been planted, but you have to just think about this, right? It's been weeks and weeks and weeks since I've done Women Wednesday, and we've had these sorts of conversations. Why any Muslim would believe the lie that Islam honors women more than Christianity. We have this Muslim, like, they don't have good answers, basically, just in simple terms. And they will look at you like you don't have, like what you're saying doesn't even make sense. Which again is mind-boggling, because I literally asked him initially, like, is Muhammad ordering women not to be beaten good? He said yes. The moment we flipped it and we now see Muhammad ordering women to be beaten, he turns around and says no. He says it's also good, which you can't engage with someone like that reasonably. It just doesn't even make sense. Right? This is why, as they say, you wipe the dust off your feet at some point. This guy came up and said, well, yeah, he's got daughters, whatever he said, he's got sisters, he's got a mom, or he said he's got a mom, he's got a wife, or he's got aunties, etc. He's got all of these females. And he even says he actions Quranically. Yes, I used the miswak. All right. Good boy. There's two instances of you, bro. So before I get to you, sort out whatever is going on your side, guys. Right. Because I don't want us to have a conversation and things to be messed up. All right, let's see what else we have here. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Don't hurt her, not too bad. This is obviously Islam for you on so many different levels. Sorry for your wife. Wow, openly confessing you beat her for getting rude. Obviously, just bear in mind, he kept making that caveat, oh, I beat her lightly with a miswak. We beat you lightly with a miswak stick? See, yep. No. Exactly. Initially, he was saying, you don't know who beat you. He didn't know who ordered it. Art Butler, thank you. Appreciate you. God bless you for the super chat. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right. Good boy. You ready? All right. Hold on. We need to, let me do this. All right, let's try this again. Hello? Hello? I'm blessed. I'm hearing an echo. Like, you need to wear headphones, man. You need to wear headphones. Good boy called in on our last stream, but it wasn't an Muslim stream, so I said call in on Wednesday. We'll be doing an Islam stream, so hopefully you can get his connection set up properly. Let's try this again.
I'm back. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but there's an echo. You need to wear headphones, man.
I'm not having headphones. I'm on speaker.
Yeah, you need to wear headphones though because my audio is coming through your microphone. So there's an echo.
Just give me a sec, man.
All right. Get your stuff together, man. Come on. God bless you, Paul. Okay. Thank you, Equals Meals, for being here, holding down the chat. Let's see. Butler, what are you talking about? You relax. You don't want to hurt the channel. What's that in reference to? And again, guys, this is what I always say, like Art is saying here, right? Definitely pray for these guys. Pray for the callers that we have conversations with. It matters. Like, you have to bear in mind, a lot of these guys obviously believe whatever they believe. We have these conversations. They have to give like a positive outlook. Like, yeah, this is fine. This is cool. I do this, all this kind of stuff. But even Islam talks about this thing like fitra, like the inner thing inside which points you to God and all that kind of stuff. So we know this from a biblical perspective, that God has put something in our hearts for us to know and to be able to acknowledge him. So pray for these guys that and girls that call in at times as well, that God will touch them, that God will soften their hearts, that they would obviously take the right steps. Oh yeah, definitely. Truth definitely gets flagged, obviously. Like I'm used to it, definitely. Right? You have to, it's just part and parcel, right? All right, good boy. You better? You set up?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. No echo. All right. How you doing, man? I was just mentioning before you called in on a previous live stream. It wasn't an Islamic live stream. I said call in today, and here you are. So thanks for coming back.
Yeah, my question was regarding Trinity, but however, I was listening to your conversation with the previous guy, and you were very much into the striking thing. So you are against striking women, right? Violence against women.
Hold on. Before we get there, you're a Muslim. What kind of Muslim are you?
I'm a Muslim.
What kind? Do you accept the Quran only, or you accept the hadith as well?
Muslims as a whole accept Quran and hadith.
No, they don't. This is why I'm asking you these questions. Yeah. So you accept the hadith as well, right?
Yeah, we do, yeah.
Okay, so you said you were listening to the conversation. We're talking about Muhammad ordering men to beat their wives. What do you think about that?
So my answer to you, but before I answer you, so you are against violence against women. You are against violence.
I'm against a husband beating his wife. I just told you that before.
You are against violence, right?
Husband striking his wife. This is the point of our conversation. Do you not hear what I'm saying?
But what about women in general?
Bro, look, if you want to talk about that after, maybe we can speak about that. But we're talking about something specific.
A wife is a woman, right? A wife is a woman. She's not a male, man.
Bro, you said, what's your name?
I'm Good Boy. You can call me Good Boy.
What's your actual name, man? Come on.
Man, if I had to tell you my actual name, why would I name myself Good Boy on the stream?
All right. Look, you already said you were listening to the previous conversation. Yeah. I wasn't even necessarily going to speak about that with you, but since you mentioned it, I don't mind right now just going along with that conversation. Based on what we were talking about a husband beating a wife. This is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So what do you think about a husband being able to beat his wife? Is that good or bad?
So before we jump into the original argument, before we discuss that thing, we both are on the same page that we are against violence. Violence of any sort against women, right?
Bro, we're talking about husbands and wives.
So wife automatically comes in the category of a female, man. A wife is not a male or a female, man.
A wife, though, is a specific section of females.
So you, coming from the biblical perspective, you are against violence of all sorts against women.
I'm against husbands beating their wives. That's what I'm against. That's
what and you can beat the rest of the women?
That's what we're talking about. Can we continue this conversation?
Bible, you can beat the rest of the women, but not wife.
Can we talk about this before we talk about something else? Because again,
Of course, yes. If you bring up Quran, if you bring up Hadith, I will also bring up the Bible in front of us. We have to compare both of them, right?
I've asked any Muslim to feel free to bring up a passage in the Bible where a husband beats his wife and God says it's okay.
Okay, so please,
can you answer my question?
Can you pull up Exodus chapter 21, verse number 20?
Can you answer my question, please?
I will answer your question.
So answer it then.
Yes, sir.
What do you think about a husband beating a wife?
A husband beating his wife for no reason is absolutely wrong.
Okay. Based on what?
But for example, if your wife,
hold on. Based on
wife murders your mother, then would you strike her?
Based on what?
If your wife murders your wife,
let me ask you. Let me ask you the question, chill, bro. Based on what reasons? Give me reasons which are acceptable in your mind, according to what you think your religion teaches, why a husband can strike his wife.
See, this is not what my religion teaches. My religion teaches us to respect women as a whole. But you are asking me, in what conditions or circumstances it is okay to beat a wife or strike her.
Yes, because you said.
Okay, although according to the Islamic literature, it is a symbolic act. You do not have to strike her with a missile. You do not strike her with a rocket. You do not strike her with a gun or something. You just symbolically strike her to show her what you feel at that particular moment. It is a symbolic gesture.
Okay, so you heard it's only,
it does not say strike her with a pen or something.
So it's only symbolic. You're going with the approach that the last caller went with. Okay, so did you hear the hadith that we read?
You can pull up the hadith.
Okay. It's Sunan ibn Majah, 1985.
Okay.
Okay, it says the Prophet said, "Do not beat the female slaves of Allah." Good or bad?
Please bring up the hadith. I did not follow the complete conversation that you had with the previous caller.
The Prophet said, "Do not beat the female slaves of Allah." Is that good or bad?
Do not beat her. So what's bad in it?
Is it good or bad?
What's good or bad?
That he said, "Don't beat them."
Of course, you do not have to beat her for no reason. Why would someone beat a female slave for no reason?
Was it good that Muhammad told the Muslims not to beat their wives?
Of course, yes.
Okay. Umar, who is Umar?
Hazrat Umar Raziallahu, one of the companions of the Prophet.
Okay, one of the companions of the Prophet says.
Can you zoom in the hadith?
Umar came to the Prophet and said, "O Messenger of Allah, the women have become bold towards their husbands. So order the beating of them." And they were beaten. Who ordered them to be beaten?
And they were beaten. It does not say the Prophet ordered them to beat the women.
Okay.
It does not say. And just let me read the complete hadith.
Hold on, bro.
Please pull up the hadith. Please do not do this debate tactics, man. I know you do not have anything.
Good boy. Be a good boy.
This is what you do when you have no arguments at all. Please pull up the hadith. Let me read the hadith.
Listen. Be a good boy.
You are trying to play the complicated guy with out of knowledge, but it is nothing but a debating tactic.
Good boy.
It is nothing but a debating tactic, man.
Good boy.
Just pull up the hadith.
Be a good boy if I have to beat you lightly with a miswak. Come on, man. Behave yourself. All right. The reason
I would beat you with a rod, just as the Bible says in Exodus 21:20. Beat your female slaves with a rod till death. This is what the Bible says. Beat her till death,
bro. No, it doesn't.
This is what the Bible says.
My goodness. All right. So the reason I'm slowing you down is because I'm asking you questions to get your reasoning and your understanding on certain stuff. So as you say stuff, we need to see how valid it is, what it is you said. So you said, when you read the next segment of this, you said it doesn't say Muhammad ordered them to be beaten, right? That's what you said.
First, pull up the hadith. Let us read the complete hadith.
Can you answer me, please? You said it wasn't.
No, I won't answer you till the time I have not read the hadith.
You already answered. I'm just confirming. That's what you said, right? It doesn't say.
You are running from your Bible. You are running from Exodus 21:20. You are running from 1 Samuel 15 to 15 verse number 2. You are running from 1 Corinthians chapter number 14 verse number 34, and you are coming to Quran.
If we can't have a conversation, good boy. If we cannot have a conversation, this is not going to last. All right. So you said it doesn't say that.
I did not say anything.
Yes, you did. It's recorded.
I did not say.
You said that it didn't say.
I said just pull up the hadith and let me finish talking.
You said it doesn't say.
Just pull up the hadith first.
My goodness. You said it doesn't say that Muhammad ordered them to be beaten, right?
I didn't say anything.
Now,
I said to read the complete hadith.
so
Just pull up the hadith. Why are you afraid of the hadith?
do you need me to go back into the live stream and play where you said Muhammad didn't say they should be beaten?
I want you to just pull up the hadith
Do
and
I
let
need
us
to go back?
read the complete hadith.
Do I need to go back and
So,
and show
if you
so
go
you can
back-
hear your own words where you said Muhammad didn't order them to be beaten? Do we need to go back? Good boy.
if we go back, then we will find out that I said that please open up Exodus chapter number 21, verse number 20, or 1 Corinthians 14, 34, or 1 Samuel 15, verse number 2.
I already said to you, let's say I take for granted, I take your opinion and say everything you said is right. Is any of that worse than what we're reading now?
Nothing can be worse than beating a slave to death or a small child to death, just as the Bible
My
says.
goodness.
Your Bible says that kill the small children,
Okay, what's wrong
kill
with
the
that?
Amalekites.
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that? Killing babies for no reason.
Killing babies for no reason.
That's right.
There's no reason.
That's right.
There's no reason.
1 Samuel chapter number 15, verse number 2 says to
listen,
kill
listen, good boy.
the Amalekites,
Good boy.
kill their women,
Good boy.
kill their children.
Good boy.
What bad have the babies done? What bad have
My
the babies
goodness,
done?
my goodness.
What bad have the babies done?
So that's a very good question.
What bad have the babies
That's
done?
a very good question. I want you to be consistent now.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me read some hadiths to you.
Yeah.
Right? And let's see if good boy is going to be
First
consistent.
read, first read 1 Samuel chapter number 15, verse number 2.
Hold on, bro.
1 Samuel
This
chapter 15, verse number 2.
I already said to you. Let's say I take you at your
you
word.
are-
Let's
you
say
are-
let's say I
error
take
posing
you
for-
at your word.
error
Let's say I take you at your word, bro. Why are you now running from the hadith?
Why don't you pull up the verse? Why don't you pull up
Why
the
are you running from the
verse
hadith?
on the screen?
Why are you running from the hadith? Because
Why are you running from the Bible? Why are you running from the Bible?
if I just said, let me just take your opinion. This is what it says. If I just said, okay, let's just go with you. Why are you saying I'm running if I'm saying, okay, yeah, let's say it does say that. Why are you running from the hadith?
I cannot hear you.
Why are you running from the Quran? Why are you running from the hadith and the Quran?
Man.
Hello? My
I had
goodness.
a call. I had someone
Okay,
calling me.
someone called you, so obviously you're not going to be able to hear me. These guys can't track. They actually can't track. He can say whatever he likes, right? The moment we now start showing him stuff, imagine all the arguments he's making. Oh, this and that, this and that, this and that, this and that. All of a sudden, okay, let's say everything you're saying is correct, even though it's not. The moment we start talking about his sources, he doesn't want to go there. He's afraid. He's shook, and he says, "I'm running." You can't make this up. Imagine he says to me as a Christian, "Oh, the Bible says this," and I don't even dispute him. I don't even waste my time arguing with him and saying, "Oh yeah, it doesn't say that," or trying to explain it to him, because he doesn't care. He's not interested. Let's just say everything you said is correct, but then all of a sudden, when we now start going to the hadith, which is going to show the stuff that he was saying, "Oh, how could this happen? This is all evil. This is all bad." Just like the previous caller, we heard him say, "Oh yeah. Oh, it's good when Muhammad orders women to be beaten, but it's bad. But it's also good when he says, don't beat them." This is what Islam does to your brain. You have to malfunction. Right, let's try this again. Good boy.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we need to run through a couple of things you said now. Okay.
Okay.
So firstly, we're going to deal with the fact that you said Muhammad didn't order them to be beaten. Okay. Then we're going to talk about babies being killed and unfair treatment of babies. What did the babies do, right?
According to the Bible.
Listen, right? So you said Muhammad didn't do it. Let me show you this. This is another hadith. Give me 2 seconds. This is...
But you have to bring on screen 1 Samuel chapter 15 verse number 2, 1 Corinthians chapter 14 verse number 34, in which it clearly says to kill the babies according to the Bible.
My goodness. I already asked you. I already said to you, I asked you what's wrong with that. You went on this whole rant about, oh, it's evil. What did the babies do? Just chill, bro. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Just hold on. Relax.
Yeah.
Hold on, all right?
And once you ask a
No,
question,
can you
just give
just
the person some time to respond.
can you
because
relax?
your questions,
I
give
get
some time for answer.
they've heard what you said, bro. You obviously
Yeah.
can't control yourself and have a conversation properly. So
Because you do not give the other person the time to
okay,
respond, man.
let's listen. Let's listen to this now. Okay,
Yeah.
this is another instance of that hadith we just read, and as you can see, anyway, I'll just same thing, right? Muhammad says, "Do not be Allah's handmaidens." But when Umar came to the Messenger of Allah and said, "Women have become emboldened towards their husbands," he, the Prophet, gave permission to beat them. Who does this hadith says gave the permission to beat them?
Can you please zoom in the text? I cannot read the text.
He, the Prophet, gave permission to beat them. Who does it say?
Does it say for no reason?
No.
Or does it give
say?
the reason?
Who does it say? What is this? Just say this. Who gave them permission?
If a teacher gives a punishment to a
who gave
student, is it
permission?
unjust?
Who gave permission?
For no reason or for a reason?
Who gave the permission?
For no reason or for a reason?
We can talk about that after if you want. Who gave the permission?
For the Prophet, peace be upon him.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now let's go back. Now it says,
no, don't go back. Just read the complete hadith.
I'm going to answer your question. Bro, listen, I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to answer your question. You just said for no reason or for some reason. Umar came and said the women have become emboldened towards their husbands. Women are getting rude. That was the reason why in the very next part of the hadith it says he gave permission to beat them. That's your reason.
Yes. If a wife is rebellious to his husband, then it is a reason.
Okay.
It is not a no reason thing.
Okay.
And
now,
this is exactly what the Bible says.
Okay,
if you disagree with it, you are actually going against the Bible.
Find me a passage in the Bible where it says a husband can beat his wife.
Okay. It says much worse than that. It tells you to kill the women and babies.
Okay. What's wrong with that?
What's wrong in killing babies and women for no reason?
What's wrong with killing women and children?
This is what your Bible says. You have to tell me what's wrong in it.
Okay, so let's read this now. Okay?
According to you, it's okay to kill babies.
Hold on. I didn't say that. But listen.
According to you, it's okay to kill babies.
Let's listen to what Muhammad says.
According to you, it's okay to kill babies.
Let's listen to what Muhammad says.
According to your Bible, it's okay to kill babies.
Respect your hadith, man. Respect your sources. This is Muslim.
Respect your Bible.
This is Muslim 1745 17458. It is reported on the authority of Sabib Jathama that the Prophet of Allah, the Prophet of Allah, when asked about the women and the children that this dumb Muslim is apparently trying to defend for some reason, of the polytheists being killed during the night raid, what did he say? Take them out because they are from them. What were you just saying before?
They are from sorry, what?
Because these women and children are from the polytheists, Muhammad said it's acceptable to wipe them out.
Read the hadith again.
What does it say? It is reported, when asked about the women and children of the polytheists being killed during the night raid at war, Muhammad said, they are from them.
So during war, you want the other party to attack you, kill you, but you do not respond. Is this what you are saying? Because in the night raid, it clearly says that it is in a state of war.
Okay. So if I say first, listen. So if I say First Samuel was in war, then that's good enough. If it's good enough for you, it's good enough for me, then, right?
No. Your Bible says
this is Islam, guys. This is Islam.
Commands to kill babies.
Can we keep going?
Can an infant baby attack you? Can an infant attack you?
Okay.
Can an infant attack you?
Good boy.
Can an infant attack you?
Can these children of the polytheist attack?
If they attack. Children can attack.
Can they attack?
Children can attack.
Can they attack?
Children can attack.
Can they attack?
Can an infant attack? Can an infant attack? Can an infant attack?
You're burying yourself already. Let me give you one more.
First Samuel chapter 15 verse number 2.
Let me give you one more.
First Samuel chapter 15 verse number 2. You are bringing all the hadiths that are with regards to the state of war.
Okay, this isn't about war. Tell me what you think about this? Okay. More. Listen. Just listen to this, man. Listen. Muhammad said, apparently, the woman who buries alive her newborn girl and the girl who is buried alive, both of them will go to hell. Is that good or bad?
You can all ask me like this. First Samuel chapter 15 verse number 2.
Yes, I can.
First answer that, and then I'm going to answer you.
Yes, I can.
First Samuel chapter 15 verse number 2.
I already granted whatever interpretation you want on First Samuel 15. Go ahead.
First Samuel chapter 15 verse number 2.
I already granted you. that. Let's just say let's say what you're saying is correct. The girl that goes, listen.
After that, I'm going to give you the explanation of this one.
Listen.
Okay, why don't you read that first point?
The woman who buries alive her newborn girl and the girl who is buried alive both will go to hell. What did this girl what did the girl who is buried alive do? Why is she going to hell?
Why don't you pull up First Samuel chapter 15
why is she going to hell? Why is she going to hell, good boy?
Why don't you pull up First Samuel chapter 15 verse number 2?
Right. Don't look down, man. Dumb Muslim. Spiritually dumb. We were doing a last live stream about what the dumb Hebrew Israelites. Today we're seeing just the same thing, the same spirit of Antichrist, the same dumb spirit of Antichrist in all of these different individuals who hate Jesus. This is why sometimes it's good not to even explain stuff in the Bible to these sorts of people, because their minds are robotic. They can't even reason. He's shouting about passages, saying that these are passages which are bad and negative and are evil. I'm showing him stuff in his own sources that he accepts, and he's not saying this is evil. He's turning around and saying X, Y, Z. So he wants us to give them the benefit of the doubt and give them and have their reasons. But when we talk about something, all of us, we shouldn't have any reasons. There shouldn't be any understanding or any context. This is Islam. They cannot answer a simple question. And yes, just as Winnie Pooh says, right, he forgot that Allah is apparently the one who revealed the Torah, according to the Quran. These guys, man, you can't make this up. Let's see. Isn't this true? Mo said it, we just believe it. That is Islam for you. No reasoning ability, no questioning. You can't even process these different situations. And this is what's so crazy about this. He's got so much venom to speak about passages in the Bible, but according to his interpretation of these passages, when we flip it on him and start showing him stuff in Islam, all the venom goes away, and he can't talk about it anymore. He doesn't want to talk about it. We've got Muslims. I was going to say, we're into a new month. It's April. So that means it's time to get April's clip of the month. Either of these two callers previously, well, I guess this is the first live stream in April, so I guess that makes sense, isn't it, right? Either of them are already in the running for the clip of the month this month. All right, let's see. All right, let me do this quickly, guys. Thank you already for those of you who have been here, hitting the like button, doing all that good stuff to push the stream forward, despite the Muslims trying their best to shut the stream down. All right, Saeed.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, Saeed?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm blessed, man.
Yeah, brother, I can tell you without reading Quran or Bible, Muslim women are better in Islam because look at how Muslim women cover themselves. They cover the whole body. In Christianity, you can wear bikini. Look like not to proper women. So in Islam,
Saeed,
give respect to women.
Saeed.
So I will say Islam is better for any woman.
Saeed.
Yes, sir.
Do you know what the Bible teaches about men and women and their dress code?
Yeah, but you don't follow Bible.
Don't listen. Chill out, bro. When I'm talking, don't interrupt. Listen to what I'm saying, okay? Do you know what the Bible says about modesty, dressing for a man and a woman?
Yes, I know.
You know?
Actually, I don't think is there anything in Bible say about the clothing?
Yeah,
Is there anything?
there's
I
things.
don't know.
There's
I
things
don't
in the
know.
Bible that talk about not revealing your nakedness. There's things in the Bible which talk about dressing modestly, etc. So, do you think someone who's
Could you give me the any verses it says?
all right, hold on. I'll give you a couple of verses, right? I'll give you one from the Old Testament and I'll give you one from the New Testament. So, Exodus 28. Give me a second. 28, I believe, is 43. Okay, yeah. So, this is an example, right, of what God is saying. This is chapter 28 in Exodus. Exodus 28, verse, let's just go to verse 42, right? This is one example. So now it says, it's talking about the clothes that the priest should wear, and it says, you shall make them linen breeches to cover their nakedness. So you see, first and foremost, it's talking about their nakedness should be covered, right? Saeed.
Yes. I
Okay.
can see. I can
Okay,
see.
so it's talking about covering the nakedness, right? And then it talks about from the loins, that's like your waist, even unto the thighs, right? So people typically will talk about like you have up into your knee. Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, so this is one example in the Bible which is talking, and this is obviously for men, by the way, right? So it's not just women that are encouraged in the Bible to cover themselves and not to allow their nakedness to show, etc. There's another passage talking about the priests where it talks about them going up on the platform. This is another reason why they need to be covered, because if you go up and people are below you and they look up, they may see stuff that they're not supposed to see. So God is very focused on people being covered, basically, not showing your nakedness. That makes sense?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, I'll give you another
But
one. Hold on.
Christian do not follow your Bible.
Let me give you another one. We do 1 Peter chapter 3. All right. Give me 2 seconds. Well, actually, you know what? Let's do Timothy. So you're saying they don't follow the Bible. If people that are don't following the Bible, what does that make them? Does that make them Christians or something else?
Okay, if you don't follow Bible, you are not a Christian.
If you say you're a Muslim but you don't follow the Quran or the Hadith, are you a Muslim?
No.
Okay, so why are you making arguments about people who aren't following the Bible if the Bible says do this and they're not following it? Would you say, like I mentioned this before, there's certain Muslims that are down with the LGBT community? Would you say that they're following Islam by saying that it's acceptable?
No, there is nothing wrong talking to LGBT or
No, saying it's acceptable.
Tolerating them.
If they say it's acceptable to do that stuff and be a Muslim, is that following Islam?
In Quran does not say to abuse them.
I didn't say abuse them. If there's a Muslim who says it's okay to do LGBTQ stuff, is that a Muslim or is that someone who's going away from the deen?
But it does not give permission to kill them, abuse them.
I'm not talking about any of that stuff, Saeed. I'm just asking you about if they say it's good, it's acceptable.
As long they hide their sexuality, it's okay.
No, listen, Saeed, listen to what I'm saying. If you have
it's not acceptable. Homosexuality is not acceptable. But
so that's what I'm saying. So the imam, Saeed, the imam that goes out and says it's okay for you to do that stuff and be a Muslim, is he following Islam or is he doing something else?
No. We cannot encourage them.
Okay, so the same way you're trying to say, oh, there's these people in the West that are doing X, Y, Z. If they're not following what the Bible teaches, then the same way you've got imams out there who say stuff which is ungodly according to Islam isn't following Islam. It's the same way, Saeed. You have to be consistent, isn't it?
Okay. I can agree that. Theologically, I agree with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
But
you.
in general, Christianity accept a bikini, all naked clothing. It's
Man,
accepted.
bro, the stuff we just talked about based on the Bible, that just went over your head. You just said ingredient and said, yes, I agree with you. And now you're going back to stuff which contradicts
No,
the...
I'm just mentioning it became acceptable. All kind of clothing it became acceptable to the church, not to the Bible.
So the Imam who is saying that LGBTQ is okay, that's not acceptable to Islam, right? To the mosques.
No, we cannot say it's okay.
If you're saying it's
We
acceptable for
only
Christians, then it would
tolerate,
have to
but
be
not
acceptable
okay.
for Muslims as well. Be consistent, Saeed, man.
The homosexuality is not acceptable, but we can tolerate them because there is no punishment for homosexual in Quran.
What about the hadith?
No, the hadith is not word of God. It's a word of man. Even it's not from the prophet. It's just a word of man. When Quran does not say to kill them, abuse them, then you cannot go and hadith say this to kill them.
Saeed,
You cannot accept
why are you always trying to get me in trouble with the Muslims, man?
What's that?
Why are you always trying to get me in trouble with the Muslims when you say certain stuff that you know Muslims aren't gonna like?
If Allah does not say to kill them, if Prophet kill or Muslim kill, they will go to hell.
No,
Because
but
you are violating Allah rules.
But you said
you
that
have to follow
you
what
said that
Allah
the
said,
hadith,
not what Hadith said.
you said there's no wahi in the hadith. There's no inspiration. There's nothing from God in there. You know Muslims are not gonna like that.
Yeah. You are correct. They violate the Quranic law. There is no abuse of homosexual. There is no killing of homosexual in Quran. So if you do that, you violate the Quranic law. So you go to hell. Whoever said this, to kill them, abuse them, they will go to hell. Even if Prophet said this to kill them, Prophet go to hell. Because Allah does not give Prophet permission to kill them.
All right, Saeed, man. Well, look, we've spoken before about...
Another thing in Islam, another thing for good for women in Islam is she can get a divorce. In Christianity, she have no right to get a divorce. She have to stay in Christianity, get with the husband, abusive husband, and she cannot get a divorce. It is in Bible you cannot get a divorce, especially a New Testament you cannot get a divorce. But in Islam, women can get a divorce.
Women can get divorced in Islam.
Without any good reason, if she does not like her husband, she can get a divorce, kick him out of the home.
What's good about a woman not liking her husband and getting a divorce? What's good about that?
If she no longer love him, she can kick him out. That's the only reason.
Why?
There is a hadith in Prophet said, Prophet said a woman came to her and she said she does not love her husband. Prophet said you divorce him.
So divorce
That's
is
all.
good. So divorce is good.
There is
Just
no
because
argument.
divorce is good because she doesn't love him anymore. You wouldn't say that she should start doing the right thing and love him and work on the marriage so it doesn't break and the children aren't affected and all this kind of stuff. They should just break up, right?
Yeah, there is, when she does not love him means it's over.
All right.
You don't have to stay with him.
All right, Saeed, look, you can wait in the back. I'm going to move on, right? I may bring you back up later on, all right?
Okay, brother.
Amazing, guys. You know, the funny thing about this is he's Quran only. He doesn't like the hadith. He rejects the hadith. He said some very interesting stuff. about the hadith. And he seems to be Quran only, but when you talk about stuff in the hadith, he doesn't accept it, he rejects it. Which is obviously mind-boggling on so many different levels. But nothing's changed, guys. It's been how many weeks since I've done this live stream, and the Muslims still they still sound the same. And I could have pressed them on this ecos meos, but maybe I might ask him that later. Women need permission to get divorced in Islam, which is true. He wants you to believe that, yeah, it's just cookie cutter, yeah, they just say, yeah, it's a wrap. Like, that's not how this works. But when someone like Saeed has said in the past that if his daughter is beaten by her husband, he would say, yeah, it's fine. If she's not cooking consistently, then what can you do with someone like that? Exactly. You got to bow down to the Almighty. It's the only way. Don't disrespect religious. Tell that to the Muslim who was saying Islam honors women more than Christianity. The Muslims always do this, man. Someone was saying they wanted to call in, and when I put him away, Saeed, and said, hold on, he apparently disappeared. This is Islam for you, man. It's funny because we looked at that original video. I wanted us to look at another video today, which is actually quite interesting, considering the stuff that's actually been happening this week in the UK in regards to Christians and Muslims, all that kind of stuff. And it was actually even on topic of women beating, which is actually interesting. Minj says religion is bad for women. I assume you're an atheist. And if that's the case, you need to actually define what bad actually is. I don't think you can actually do that subjectively. So why would anyone care about what you have to say about religion? What's the women's choice? Don't come and say that it's bad for women. Why not? Okay, so Minj confirms that he's an atheist. So you're basically saying stuff without saying anything. You're not saying nothing by saying many words. No religion is good for women. What is good? What is bad? Those things don't even exist in your world, like subjectively, objectively. So it doesn't even matter. I made a mistake. It exists in your world subjectively, but not objectively. So why does that matter? What's a choice? Basket killing. What's a choice? Hello?
Yo.
How you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good. How are you?
You sound really young though, so.
Okay, so you're saying Islam is bad for women?
Yeah. How old are you?
Can I ask you a question?
How old are you?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm 14.
You're 14.
Yeah.
You don't sound 14.
Yeah, I have a baby voice, bro.
Look, what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
On.
Can I ask you a question?
No, this is what you have to do. If you really want to ask me a question, do you really want to ask me a question?
Yeah.
All right. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna post a link for you, and you can call in and ask me there.
Can I say it?
No. All right. I'll post a link for you if you actually want to have a conversation, because I don't mind having a conversation with you, but I also want to follow the rules. Use this link and we can talk. What's this thing talking about? All right. Hello.
Yeah, you're right.
His question was, do I believe Jesus is God? Yes, I do. But that's not the topic today. Zane, how you doing? You alright?
Not bad, mate. I'm 26.
Okay, cool. So you called in the other day, right? On the other live stream.
Yeah.
And I said,
You
come
were the
back
guy,
today.
man.
Yeah, I
That
said,
weird guy.
I was the weird guy.
No. Yeah, the
Oh,
picture,
yeah.
man.
Oh, sorry. The
No,
Hebrew
that was
Israelites.
the
The
one.
Hebrew Israelites.
That's it, man. That's it. That's the
All
one.
right. Well, today we've been having a conversation. We started, there was a Muslim guy in the video. He said Islam honors women more than Christianity. You think that's true?
I don't know too much about Christianity.
Okay. So I've had different conversations today with different Muslims on different topics. All right. So I want to read something to you. What kind of Muslim are you, by the way? Quran only, Hadith? Quran and Hadith?
Yeah, no, I believe in Hadith, yeah. Well, the authentic one.
As long as it's Sahih, yeah? Authentic.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was... Yes. All right, so this is a Sahih Hadith from Sunan Abu Dawud.
Right.
And it says, interestingly, this is Abu Dawud 4717. 4717. It says, the woman who buries alive her newborn girl will go to hell. Is that good or bad?
The woman who buries her own kid.
Yeah. She's going to hell for
Well,
that.
yeah, she'll unalive her own kid, yeah. So
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with unaliving your own kid?
Yeah.
Well, they're like innocent, so it's like murder.
Okay.
TikTok language, innit? But
Yeah, I get you. Okay. The hadith also says, and the girl who is buried alive, she's going to go to hell.
And the girl buried alive.
Yeah. Is that good or bad? What do you think?
Wow, the girl. All right. No, I've got to Google that, to be honest. But
All right. Abu Dawud 4717.
4717.
4717.
All right. But I'd say I do not heard about some view verses of like Christianity. That verse in the Old Testament you had where it's like, if a man rapes a woman, just pay the dad 50 shekels and then that woman will become his wife.
Why do you think that's what it says?
What do you mean, why do I think that's what it says? That's what it says.
Because that's one interpretation of what that passage says. Are you familiar with?
I'm just reading the black and white of it.
Are you familiar with the other interpretations of that passage?
No, what is it?
Okay, so you just said you're reading black and white, but I know enough to know you're reading most likely an NIV translation, which is going with the other interpretation. So this is why I'm asking you, why do you think that's what it says? What is your basis or reasoning other than you read the NIV translation, or maybe it's another translation, which says grape? Is that the only reason you believe that?
Is that the only reason I believe that?
Yeah. So if I read another translation which doesn't say grape, are you going to say, okay, I don't believe it's talking about grape?
Well, what was the law back then for it?
What do you mean?
So does it include grape or no?
I don't believe so, no. And there's a wide, it doesn't even matter anyway if there's a wide scholarship that doesn't believe that either, but answer the question though. If I read a different translation which doesn't use the word grape, are you going to turn around and say, oh yeah, well, it doesn't mean that then? Or is it just because...
I'd say, from my point of view, you can't really pick and choose translations, so that whatever translation you pick for the verse, you have to stick with it, because what you're saying is that the NIV is wrong then.
Yeah, but I'm not just saying because it's the NIV. That's not my argument. That's why I asked you, why do you believe that? Is it just because you read a translation? Translations go based off, in that case, Hebrew. So my point is, people are translating stuff in the Bible because of what the Hebrew says. Not
or the Greek, yeah.
Yeah, but The Old Testament is made largely in Hebrew, so that's why I'm saying that. So this is why I'm asking you. I'm not just saying, oh yeah, the NIV says this and another translation says that. That's not the point. I'm trying to understand why you think that's what it's talking about in that verse.
It just that's what it says, yeah. Like that's
Okay,
because the different verses like give different scenarios about what you do. So
the passage gives different scenarios.
yeah, the passage.
So for example, earlier on in the passage, it talks specifically about a grape, and it says that person is put to death, unalived.
Yeah, which is fair. Yeah,
Which
is adultery then? Yeah,
but it doesn't use that same word in the verse you're talking about. Do you know that? It uses a different word.
What word does it use?
I believe is it tafas? It's a different Hebrew word. I believe that's the Hebrew word. That's what it is. But so don't you think that's a bit interesting that he used a different word a few verses previously, and then for whatever reason decided to use a different word at that particular verse in verse 28 and 29.
So what does the verse say then, according to your sort of view?
So based on this view, it's talking about a man who basically seduces, like convinces her. You know, when a guy goes out and he's trying to get a woman to give him some, basically. That's the situation.
Right. And that's based off like...
And it's based on multiple different things. One of the things people go with that interpretation is because it doesn't use the exact same great word I mentioned above a few verses previously. That's number one. Another thing is in Exodus, which is like a parallel passage, it doesn't use again the great word. It talks about a guy who like seduces, like runs game basically on her. In that situation, he has to marry her.
Right, got you.
Have you ever heard of that before?
No, it's first time.
Oh, you should look it up. There's a lot of documentation and argumentation. A lot of people have done, like, laid out why that's a better reading of that particular passage. Obviously, most Muslims who hear or know about the passage are going to come from the great perspective, because I guess that's just the nature of how Muslim apologetics works, I guess.
Well, come on, give us credit, mate. You said the translation's wrong.
What do you mean? Give you credit for what?
You said, right, yeah. Or did you follow the NIV, that the NIV one was wrong in that passage or the verse? They can't really blame us if that's what it says.
I can. Like, I'll give you an example, right?
Oh, go on.
Because if I'm learning something about like a different religion, I think it makes sense, if you're going to be a good student, to not just look up the interpretations or whatever, or the things that someone may say, oh, this is what this passage says. It's not difficult to look at any particular verse and say, what are some interpretations on these particular passages and why? And then that will help you understand. So there's, like, I'll give you an example, right?
Yeah, go on.
I've spoken to Muslims about this before. I'll ask you about this. So there's a hadith where Muhammad is telling a woman, to breastfeed another man who's not a husband. And I've asked Muslims about this, like, why is he doing this? Is this good or bad? And obviously, like, it is bad. Like, that shouldn't happen. But I obviously know and are familiar with other interpretations which Muslims have said. Some Muslims have said, oh, well, even though it says breastfeeding, it doesn't mean breastfeeding. It's talking about putting milk in a cup and then the man drinking it.
Right.
Right. So the point I'm trying to make is, I can go out and research what other people are going to say on a passage and come to a better conclusion before I even speak to any Muslim about anything. Because it's not just about me making Islam look bad or anything along those lines. I'm really focused on truth. And if you're really focused on truth, it's not just about, oh, how can I make X, Y, Z, these people look bad? I want to know, like, number one, what their religion teaches, or whether it's Islam or whatever it is. I also want to know what their argumentation and their reason is, why they come to these conclusions, to see if it's reasonable or not. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get you. I mean, obviously you got brought up in England, right? I went to Church of England primary school.
Okay.
And obviously when you're a kid, right, you don't... We had, what do you call him? They weren't priests, like pastors, right? Him and his missus. And obviously, the Bible, it was like the kid Bible, right?
Yeah.
Obviously not going to go in depth.
Mm-hmm.
But my point being, what I'm trying to get across is that the way we got taught about the Bible, even as kids, was that the Old Testament and the New Testament, God sort of like changed in a way. He was more like wrathful in the Old Testament. So whatever happens there is, what do you say? It's more wrathful. God's more wrathful. And the New Testament is more like tranquil and calm, right? So when I got told about that verse, and that's what the thingy, what do you call it? That's what the words say. That's what the translation said. And that was in the Old Testament. So already I got like 2 and 2, if you get what I mean, where it's like, all right, yeah.
You kind of just put it down to, it's Old Testament, so...
Yeah, I mean, that's
I don't need to look into any deeper.
As well, yeah, so I was just like, all right, yeah, fair. I mean, so that's like my sort of logical thinking for that. I didn't really know there was like different translations for it, but can you tell me the hadith reference again, please? Because I'm going to Google that, do
about
the
girl?
research.
The girl?
Yeah. 47 something.
Sunan Abu Dawud 4717.
47. All right, nice one. Yeah, you know what, lad? Yeah, let me have a search. Let me actually do fully research on that. Let's see where it goes. Because I mean, personally, I don't see why the girl would go well, because she's innocent. You know what I mean? What did a baby do? So
she's a polytheist baby, isn't it?
No, but we believe that kids go heaven, before puberty. So
Muslim kids go paradise. You believe?
Nah.
All children.
Nah, man. Yeah, all children, bro.
Wouldn't this hadith contradict that?
Well, that's what I mean. I'm gonna obviously search it, see what's going on, but obviously how we see it is that before puberty, you're not accountable. You get what I mean? So,
okay,
if you're like 5, you're not accountable. So, why would he go hell?
Because according to that hadith, the woman buried her alive.
Yeah, that's it. I'm definitely gonna look it up, man. Yeah, you know what I mean. Nice one.
All right, cool.
That's your point. I'm like you, man. I want to know the truth. You know what I mean?
It's good.
That's why. You know what I mean? That's it. But yeah, I'll give you a follow, lad.
Yeah, bro.
Maybe definitely do some proper.
You can definitely
1-minute Google search.
Cool. You can definitely come back and we can talk about that or so.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, let me do some actual proper. I'm not one of those where it's like 1-minute Google. Oh yeah, this is the answer. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, I got to ask about. You get what I mean? Got to ask other guys, see what their opinion is. That's the first time I've generally ever heard that, dude. Ever. Like even pro-Muslim against, as in like debate wise. So that's why it's like, whoa, this is like brand new at all.
All right.
All right, that's one, man. Take care,
God
boss.
bless, bro. Take care. Whoa. It's a good conversation. You see, we had what a previous caller was saying I was running from the Bible and I didn't want to talk about stuff in the Bible. Like, no, it's more so about energy, like behavior. You can control yourself and have a good conversation. We can have a good conversation about what's in Islam, what's in the Bible, etc. Anyone who knows me knows I love talking about the Bible, so that's not an issue. But if you are indicating to me that you don't know how to control yourself, then it's obviously not going to last. It's actually, what was I going to say? All right. Alvina.
Hello.
How you doing? You alright?
I'm okay. Yeah.
You're a Muslim, I assume?
Yeah.
How can I help you today?
Yeah, I want to hear you first. I want to hear you out first.
You want to hear me?
Yeah, I want to hear you out and see. And
Wow.
I just want to hear why you think that.
That's interesting because most Muslims I speak to don't want to hear what I have to say. They've just made a lot of assumptions. So thank you.
Okay, that's okay.
So there's what kind of Muslim are you? Quran only, or you accept hadith?
Okay, let me explain my position.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I'm a Quranist because I do accept the hadith, specifically the Mutawatir hadith, obviously. But when it comes to the Sahih hadith, as of right now, I am very skeptical of them. So I would rather we just don't talk about those hadiths because I'm still looking into them. I'm still not sure if I accept some of them. That's my stance currently, if that makes sense.
Yeah, to a certain degree. What does Sahih mean?
Okay. So here, there obviously we have levels of hadith, and
Mm-hmm.
Sahih is one of the levels of hadith. A lot of hadiths that we hear about on social media are Sahih hadiths. It means that the chain of narration between the people that were writing them down or orally saying them were consistent. That's what that means,
Okay.
from what I know.
So if it's written down correctly, if it's authentic, if the chain is good, why are you struggling with Sahih hadith?
Because, okay, let me explain. The reason I struggle with it is because I argue that the Quran has given women rights, and a lot of men, especially in Islamic Arabia in the 7th century, did not appreciate that and did not like the fact that that the Quran gave women rights. So they did decide to spread some, maybe they decided to spread some lies. Maybe they decided to twist some narratives. And other men just joined in. Other men wanted to believe that. But also, I don't know the context of many Sahih hadiths. Those are my two reasons.
So I get you. I understand your point you're making. That okay, the Quran you believe gives women rights, and there's Arabians in the 7th century who don't appreciate that, and this is where hadith come from. But if we can't trust the Sahih hadith, how can we trust any hadith?
Okay, do you know what the Mutawatir hadiths are?
Yeah, it's like basically just the ones that are like sound chain, basically the tight chain.
So the the Mutawatir hadiths are more
Multiply
different.
attested. Multiply attested.
Yeah, so those hadiths that have so many chains, it's literally impossible that they're false. And there is such a small handful of those hadiths.
That's exactly what I was about to say to you. There's only like
examples of those are just the 5 pillars. The 5 pillars of Islam, how to pray, praying 5 times a day. Obviously, us as Muslims accept that because that can't be false if multiple chains agreed.
So the problem, again, I get what you're saying. This is why I asked you: are you Quran only or hadith?
Yeah,
I get you. The problem with that is the hadith. It's almost impossible to be a Muslim without the hadith. The very hadith you are being skeptical about.
Why do you think as a Muslim, I am allowed to be skeptical of the Sahih hadith, but I can't be a Muslim if I reject the Mutawatir hadith.
And you've already said there's only a handful. So that's just what I'm saying.
But those handful are central to Islam. The
But
5 pillars, praying 5 times a day, how to pray. You can't be a Muslim without doing that, can you?
Okay, so how do you know how many chapters the Quran has without these hadith that I'm talking about?
By having the Quran and knowing how many chapters are there.
But how do you know what the Quran is without the hadith?
Because the Quran was revealed first over 23 years.
How do
the
you know
Prophet
that?
said that this is the word of God. That's how we know.
How do you know it was revealed first before the hadith?
Because logically, if we think about it logically, hadith is what the Prophet said, right?
Okay.
And hadith is what the Prophet said. So
Okay.
that obviously comes after the Quran is revealed. But the specific answer
Why?
to your question, okay, why? Because now this is authentic. During the 23 years of the Quran being revealed, the Prophet said that you cannot write down anything that I say, only write down what God tells me to say.
Where did
And
he say that?
told his companions, what?
Where did he say that?
Now, I know that this is one hadith that he mentioned that is quite authentic, but I don't know what the name of the hadith
You see,
is.
this is
But I
my
read
problem. This is my problem, sister. Like, this is, I know this is a hadith which is quite authentic. Again, so it's part of the Sahih collection, but this is the problem. Without the hadith, the Sahih hadith at a very minimum, you like Islam can't stand up without the hadith, which gives you all of the history and all of the insights and the things Muhammad did and said, etc. How do you even know who Muhammad really is from the Quran without the hadith telling you who he is?
Look, as I've said, I do not reject the entirety of the hadith. It's just currently I'm skeptical of a lot of the Sahih hadith. But I'm still a Muslim.
So
I still take the Mutawat hadith. I still take a lot of the hadith that are just there to explain who the Prophet is. Obviously, I accept that.
So if I show you a hadith that's Sahih, based on your belief system and structure right now, you can turn around and say, well, this is one I'm going to accept. This is one I'm going to reject.
I'm not reject. Be skeptical of. Okay, look into, research more.
Okay.
Because reject is a strong word.
Okay,
I'm not going to reject something just because I blatantly don't like what I'm hearing. I need to look into it, right?
Okay, so I'll give you an example. I just spoke to someone and I asked, we read a hadith. And in the hadith, it says that the woman that buries her child alive is going to hell. Is that good or bad?
That's good because we can't be unaliving our children.
What? Just that's the only reason why it's good.
That child is under the age of puberty, has done nothing wrong, and murder is wrong.
Okay. That same hadith that you said is good so far says that the girl that is buried alive will also go to hell.
Now that, what you have just said, completely contradicts the teachings of the Quran. Because as we know, every child will go to heaven. Because obviously, I'm assuming you know this, Muslims don't believe in original sin. Children are not going to go to hell. Children are pure in the eyes of Allah.
Okay. So why is this girl going to hell? Because her mother buried her alive.
That's complete. No child in the eyes of God in Islam is going to hell. So my answer to that question, I've never seen that hadith. Maybe the translation is wrong. Maybe that hadith is incorrect. Maybe I cannot tell you why you're reading that. I have no idea. But what I can say for sure is that goes against the principles and the morals that the Quran teaches us. That's all I can say about it.
The point was that the woman is a polytheist and her offspring is a polytheist, the child of a polytheist.
Yeah.
So the woman's not in Islam, the child's not in Islam, so why would she go to paradise?
Every child is going to paradise according to the teachings of the Quran.
What teachings?
In the Quran.
What teachings in the Quran says every child goes to paradise? I'm interested
For
to know.
example, 17:15, we do not punish until we have sent a messenger. That child does not know anything. Why would that child be sent to hell? As Muslims, we cannot accept things that just contradict the Quran blatantly.
Okay, hold on. So two things. So one, the hadith, if it's Sahih, then it's Sahih. Number two, the messenger, the moment the message went out, which said the woman who buries her child alive and the girl are going to hell, the message has gone out.
Not to that child. An infant cannot understand any language. That infant has not received the message. It hasn't even thought about the message. Of course that child won't go to hell.
Don't you believe that every child is born Muslim? Isn't that what Islam teaches?
I have heard that. I don't truly understand that. I do need to look more into that. But yes, I've heard Muslims say this, but I actually don't really understand it that much.
The hadith I was talking about is Abu Dawud 4717. Sunan Abu Dawud 4717.
Can you wait? Sorry. Can you wait? Sorry. Can you repeat that?
The hadith.
Sorry. Can you repeat that?
Can I
Yeah,
repeat the
yeah,
hadith
yeah.
or what it says in the hadith?
Like the name of it.
Yes,
Sorry.
Abu Dawud 4717. Can I read another
Okay.
one?
Sorry. I'm just give me a second because I'm just searching it up.
All right, just let me know when you're back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So obviously, guys, like,
Okay. I'm back.
okay, cool. Go ahead.
No, 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 no. Sorry. You were saying something. You can
No,
say what
no,
you were
go
gonna
ahead,
say.
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. All right.
Okay. So I did search it up. Can you please repeat word for word what the hadith says?
Sure. It says. Give me 2 seconds. All right. 4717 says, this is the header is the chapter the offspring of polytheists. So it says, Amir reported the messenger of Allah, may peace be upon him, as saying, the woman who buries alive her newborn girl and the girl who is buried alive, both will go to hell. This tradition has also been transmitted by Ibn Masud from the Prophet, may peace be upon him, to the same effect, through a different chain of narrators. So we know that bare minimum is multiply attested. Multiple people have mentioned this hadith, what Muhammad said here.
Are you reading that from a website called sunnah.com?
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity.
Is there a problem with
Okay.
sunnah.com?
I think so.
Okay.
I think.
So there's a problem with the hadith
From
and there's
what
a
I've
problem with
heard,
sunnah.com. Okay. What's the problem?
from what I've heard, sunnah.com is very blatant and very inaccurate in terms of translating from Arabic to English, and from what I know, doesn't give context to hadith. And obviously you're a Christian, you know your Bible well, you know how important context is. Sunnah.com doesn't give context, as well as having errors in translation, because obviously we know that especially in olden day Arabic, words have multiple meanings, and sunnah.com can just pick and choose what meanings it tends to translate into from old Arabic to modern English. That is what I've heard. It's what I think makes sense.
Okay. So you think that this is mistranslated, and because
It
of
has
that,
to be.
why
Because
does it Why does it have to
yes,
be mistranslated?
because the Quran is the center of Islam, and that goes against the core teachings of the Quran.
What core teachings? If the child is a Muslim, then they will go to paradise, perhaps. If not, then depending on the
Core teachings of
circumstances,
Islam, as in every child will go to heaven, every child will go to paradise,
based on
based on a lot of things, but one of the most clearest verses in the Quran, 17:15, we do not punish until we have sent a messenger.
the messenger was sent. Muhammad sent the message that if you do this, the woman and the child are going to go to hell. The message has been sent.
That this okay. That what I just said, that verse, it means that in Islam, a person is only held accountable by Allah after receiving the message and understanding it. An infant, a child, cannot understand any religion. They can't understand anything. Those children haven't reached maturity. They don't have full moral responsibility, so therefore they are not held accountable for sins in the same way adults are.
So
And also, in the Quran, it says, no soul bears the burden of another. Children cannot be blamed for what their forefathers do, for what their grandparents do. It goes against the core principles of Islam.
who said the girl is being judged based on what, like, the mum?
I'm not saying that the verse is implying that. I'm just telling you the core teachings of Islam and in general how much it emphasizes that children can't go to hell.
Okay, can I read another hadith to you?
Of course.
Okay. This is few before that one that we just read. This is also a Sahih hadith. Let's do.
Sorry, okay, I don't mind you saying sorry, I don't mind you telling me the hadith, but I have a quick question. Are we going to talk about the Quran, or do you just want to stick to the Sahih hadith?
We can talk about the Quran, but I just want to, like I said to you already, and it's just, you're very inconsistent. This is why I said we can go to hadith and you're going to say...
What have I said that's inconsistent according to you?
You said you're very skeptical about Sahih hadith. Now, the reason why this is interesting is because all the Muslims I've spoken to before you have said, I've asked them, do you accept hadith? And apart from one who is a Quran only Muslim, they've all been like, yeah, we accept them as long as they're Sahih, as long as they're authentic. So the fact you have called in and you're now like, well, I'm skeptical about them. I'm skeptical about Sahih hadith. Sahih is supposed to mean it's authentic, it's acceptable. This is what Muslims have been telling us for years. But now, in recent years, all of a sudden, Sahih doesn't mean Sahih anymore. So I'm just saying, if Sahih doesn't really mean Sahih, and you can just say, well, I'm skeptical about this. I don't really know about this because, for whatever reason, this is what I said to you earlier on. I could take you to any hadith that's Sahih, and you could just turn around and say, yeah, I don't vibe with this hadith, even though it's Sahih. So how can you vibe with Sahih hadith that you accept, that you like? It's just pick and choose. Pick and mix.
It's not pick and choose though, is it? Because I never said the Sahih doesn't mean Sahih anymore. I agree with what Sahih means. I agree that Sahih is a hadith that has consistent translations within one chain of narration. However, I told you 2 reasons that I'm skeptical as of now, which may change in the future. One of those reasons being, I haven't done that much research into the context, into the translations of Arabic to English, into the context of a lot of controversial hadiths. And as a Christian yourself, you should know how important context is. It is okay that I'm not completely sure of a lot of controversial Sahih hadiths. That doesn't make me inconsistent. It makes me someone that just needs to question things and is self-aware that as a Muslim, I have a lot more research to do.
So for example, right, if I turn around and I was like, okay, I'm a Christian, I believe in the Bible, but you ask me about a particular book and then I'm like, oh, you know what? I don't know if this is God's word or not. What would you say about me?
Because I think the Bible and the Hadith are 2 different things and can't be comparable. The Hadith is approached differently by Muslims than compared to the Bible being approached by Christians.
How?
Our holy book is the Quran.
Because like I said to you,
because your holy book is the Bible, our holy book is the Quran. So genuinely speaking, the way Muslims approach the Hadith is different in mindset compared to how a Christian approaches the Bible.
Like I said to you before, most of the Muslims I spoke to already turned around and said, yes, we believe in the Hadith as long as it's authentic. You will hear Muslims will say, you can't reject the Hadith. They will say that to you.
I never said reject. I even said this near the beginning. I will never say the word reject because reject is a strong word. There is nothing wrong with me being self-aware of the fact that I've not done that much research into the context, and I am not insecure. Like, I'm not insecure and not scared to admit the fact that my research is limited.
It's not a problem with research and all that kind of stuff. And my point is, Muslims, this happened in the past. Muslims who are hearing what you are saying will turn around and say, no, like, what's she talking about? She's not a Muslim. It's unacceptable to have that sort of mindset. Not the skepticism part. Even some people even debate about that. Like, you're supposed to just take what Muhammad says. But my point isn't to necessarily pin you down to any particular hadith. The point is for you to just acknowledge that we've gone to one hadith and you'll be like, no, it can't be this. You could do that with every hadith which you deem as controversial, which you don't like.
Because ultimately, the heart of Islam is the Quran. So I'd rather, if you're making a claim saying that Islam is bad for women, let's talk about the Quran.
Is
Tell
that
me
part? Is the hadith part
what
of
in the
Islam?
Quran you don't like is said about. Of course it is. I didn't say it's not.
So when I'm saying Islam is bad for women, Islam includes the Quran, the hadith, etc. Right?
So my question back to you, which I agree with what you're saying, but my question back to you is there anything you actually don't like about the Quran, or is your only issue with the hadith? Genuine question.
So if I generally say, if I said yes, it's only the hadith, I'm fine with all the Quran, all you're just proving to me is really like you're Quran only. Like,
Okay.
But I'm not saying that's the case. I've had conversations with people about the Quran, but I'm just saying all you're basically showing for people to see is you're Quran only, basically. You are Quran
I'm not
only.
Quran only at all. I take Mutawa Hadith. No, yeah. I take Mutawatir Hadith. I take a lot of the Sahih Hadith, but I'm currently doing, like, I need to do more research into a lot of other Sahih Hadith to learn the context, because as I've said, my research is limited. I never said the word reject. I never said that I'm a Quranist, because I accept the Mutawatir Hadith fully and a lot of the Sahih Hadith fully.
Have you ever heard?
I feel like I'm
have you
just
ever heard of the
repeating
statement?
myself.
No, you're not. Have you ever heard of the statement that actions speak louder than words?
Yes.
So I'm just saying your actions are speaking louder than the words you're saying.
Okay, what action have I done to you that shows that I am not, like, aligning with what I'm saying? What have I said, and what action contradicts it?
No, the action, why I would say you're basically Quran only is because I'm taking you to hadith which are Sahih, which you should reasonably accept, but you're just like, no, I don't want to accept it. I'm skeptical about this because it seems to go against. It seems to go against something I believe in the Quran. That you have to be consistent.
But I also raised another issue with the fact that Sunnah. No, I also raised another issue about Sunnah.com being incredibly inaccurate in translations, not giving context. I also said that as well. Sunnah.com should not be. Yeah.
Sunnah.com, like, it's an Islamic website.
It's not. Okay, that doesn't.
It's
what
not a
I'm
website.
saying still holds true.
It's not a website from Christians.
Inaccurate.
It's not okay. Let's talk about. Let's talk about the Quran. Let's talk about the Quran.
Yes, I would love to talk about the Quran.
Let's talk about the Quran. Okay, so I've spoken to a couple Muslims today about this topic, so I'll bring it up with you. Right, 434. Are you familiar with that verse?
Yes. I want to hear you out.
Okay, so this is commonly known as the wife beating verse. Okay, so I want to hear what you have to say. So it says, "Men are the managers." I'll skip that part because let's just get to the relevant part. So it says, "Righteous women are therefore obedient, guarding the secret for God's guarding, and for those you fear may be rebellious, admonish, banish them to their couches, and beat them. If they then obey you, look not for any weight against them. God is all high, all great." So what do you think about that? About this verse? This is the Quran. You accept this, right? You're not skeptical about what this verse says. Okay. So you tell me what you think.
No, I'm not skeptical of the Quran. No.
Okay, so
I understand that. Yeah.
Go ahead. So tell me.
Sorry, were you going to say something?
No, I was just gonna. This verse is talking about a man who fears rebellion from his wife. Okay, it's not a man who. It's not like it's a fear. He has this thought or thinking in his mind. It's not guaranteed. He fears that his wife is being rebellious to him. He's given 3 options: admonish, so tell her off, tell her to fix up, basically. Then he banishes her, or maybe he goes, depending on who's interpreting it. And then it says beat them. This is a problem for me. I don't believe a husband should beat his wife. Do you agree or you disagree?
I agree.
Okay. Why do you agree with me when the Quran, which you're not skeptical about, is saying the opposite?
Because now let me explain.
Hold on a second. Before you
at the beginning.
just a second, right? Before you explain, right? T is saying that Quran.com does not say that, and I'm adding the word beating. No, the Arabic says beat. Do your research.
Okay, I
go
understand.
Ahead. Go
Okay,
ahead.
Oh, you reading from the comments? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was just addressing that comment quickly. Now you go ahead. Say what you're gonna say.
Okay, no, that's fine. Don't worry. I'm gonna address what the comments are saying as well. Don't worry. Okay, so can I explain now, or
Yeah,
like,
go
do you
ahead.
have
Yeah.
more to add?
No, just let me hear what you say. I'm more
Okay.
interested in what you say based on what I've said so far.
Of course. So I take the Quran fully. I'm not skeptical. So the word used in the Quran, when obviously because the Quran is originally in Arabic, the word used is daraba. Daraba has multiple meanings. Okay,
Correct.
daraba is not. Daraba has multiple meanings. One of them meaning strike, but generally speaking, a lot of scholars say that this is symbolic and it doesn't mean real violence. Arguably, daraba is translated into leave or separate. So the steps become talking, separating emotionally, and separating physically from your wife, not beating them up, not beating her up. Daraba has multiple meanings. And obviously you may ask, okay, how do we know what meaning to interpret? What if it is striking? What if it doesn't mean to hit your wife? Generally speaking, if daraba genuinely meant to hit your wife, it wouldn't go against a lot of the other Quran verses which say that we need to treat our wife good, blah, blah, blah. Which is why it makes so much sense to, when we translate daraba to English, we pick the translation that says leave or separate, because it consistently aligns with how the Quran teaches to treat our women.
Okay, so I understand what you said. I'm going to deal with the first thing I want to address is what you said towards the end. So you said this is why you go with the translation to leave, to travel. I've heard this interpretation before. I've actually heard we actually have this come up on a live stream before, actually, and the Muslim scholar who was mentioning this was saying that is one of the interpretations, but it doesn't really fit the construction of the Arabic in the verse. So he was basically saying some Muslims try to go with this interpretation, but it doesn't quite fit. It's not really the best translation of the words. So, but most of the translations that you can read in English don't say go on a travel. Go on like travel away. A lot of them like translate it as beat. Some of them, which are trying to do some patchwork or trying to add their interpretation into the verse, will say in brackets, for example, lightly, or talk about a symbolic beating. But most of the translations you're going to read aren't going to say anything about going on a traveling somewhere, because they know it doesn't really fit the context and the structure of the verse.
Okay, so I haven't heard the argument that it doesn't fit grammatically with the verse. I've not personally heard that argument, but in general, when it comes to trying to interpret something, we need to see if it aligns with the general Quran teachings. Do you agree?
Yes, to a certain degree. So I was going to say to you, so if we think about what the verse says, yeah, it says admonish, okay? So tell them off, speak to them. Then it says banish them to their couches. So whether you take that as the husband leaves the wife and goes to sleep somewhere else, or whether you want to take it that the husband says you leave and go and sleep somewhere else. And then daraba, which one translation is beat them. Another, you're saying, is okay, like travel somewhere, go. Go somewhere for what? What would be the purpose of going somewhere?
I argue that the correct interpretation is just talking it out, separating emotionally, separating physically.
Yeah, I know.
So it genuinely just depends on the context. It depends on the situation, but everything needs to be done in kindness, in respect, in a non-violent manner.
I get you. So if he's separating from her, he's no longer having intercourse with her, he's sleeping somewhere else, or she's sleeping somewhere else. Why would it make sense after this? The next level is, okay, now I'm leaving. I'm going somewhere.
Because going through the levels indicates that the first level didn't go well. But if they talk it out and everything's fine, then they're good.
No, I understand that point. For people who say, yeah, this is levels and you go through the levels in order to bring unity back into the relationship. I get that. I understand that. That's cool. But I'm just saying, if you leave the marriage bed and then you're sleeping somewhere else, isn't that already like a separation? You're now saying it's separate and then separate again. That's why they say it doesn't fit.
No, separate emotionally
How can
and
you
separate
leave
physically.
It doesn't say banish them to their couches. It isn't talking about banishing emotionally. It's separation. You are now moving away from that person. So this is what I'm asking you. It's basically saying, according to your interpretation of this, leave and then leave again.
So I don't know where you're getting banished to their couches,
From the
because
Quran.
I've never heard of that.
Like, this is one
But
of
I don't know what website
this is
you're on, but
this is
it doesn't
QuranX.com.
say the translation of the translation from banishing to their couch. That's
Okay.
just blatantly wrong.
Okay, let me read another one. Okay, I'll read multiple ones, right? That was Arbery. Now we'll read Hilali Khan. This one says, those women whose part you see ill conduct, admonish them, and it's got in brackets first, and then next. Then it says refuse to share their beds, and then it says in brackets, and last, beat them. And then it says in brackets, lightly if it is useful. Pickthou says, as for those from whom you fear rebellion, admonish them and banish them to beds apart and scourge them. Then if they obey you, seek not away. That was Pickthou. So here International says, but those wives in brackets from whom you fear arrogance, first advise them, then if they persist, forsake them in bed, and finally strike them. But if they obey you, and then it goes on. Yusuf Ali is another translation. It says, those women on whose part you fear disloyalty, it says, and ill conduct, admonish them first, next refuse to share their beds, and last beat them, and then it has in brackets lightly. So you read through multiple different translations, and then that's one of the ways that gives you an understanding, a feel of what the verse is actually saying. This is what I was saying to you earlier on. Like, if you read through a lot of the translations, they're not taking this interpretation that you take, which it means, to travel away. And these are Arabic speakers, Arabic translators. There's a reason why they're not going down that pathway, because they know it doesn't really fit, like, contextually and according to just like the grammar and all that kind of stuff. That's why they all typically come from the same approach. Even though the translations, which are speaking against, it would seem, like a strong physical beating, they put in brackets lightly. They're not saying it's, it means travel. They're just like, okay, yeah, it does mean beat. It doesn't mean hit them, but it means lightly. Or you hear some people say it means symbolically. But for someone like you, how are you going to get to that interpretation? Because one of the things you said earlier on, you said, well, I don't believe it's like a physical beating because it goes against other things in the Quran, which talks about treating a woman nicely. And my point is, obviously, if this verse is talking about a woman who the man fears disobedience, if he's now given these stages, or he's given these options, talk, separate from them, and then beat them or strike them or scourge them, discipline them. These are different words which Arabic like translators are translating into English. If they're saying that, wouldn't that be a Muslim following what Allah has given him the power to do in that situation? It would be being a good Muslim. All right?
Okay, I
She's gone
Do you
somewhere, guys.
understand
Say
what
that
you're
again,
saying?
sorry?
I understand.
Okay.
However, uh-huh.
Yeah, go
Sorry,
ahead.
what
I
did you
couldn't hear
say?
you. No, go ahead. Keep going. I couldn't hear you at first, but go ahead.
So another interpretation that I've heard, I hear this less, but I have heard it, and it's that the last stage meant symbolic hitting, and the bracket lightly could just mean with a small twig, which is what Arabic speakers called a miswak, like a small twig. But it's not meant to indicate beating. It's meant to be a gesture of seriousness or disapproval, not violence, because we're not meant to hurt anyone. And we know that it wouldn't translate to beating your wife because Islamic principles are causing no harm, kindness in marriage. And we know that the Prophet never would hit anyone, would never hit his wife.
So you're not familiar with the hadith where it says Muhammad, one of the versions says, struck Aisha on the chest and it caused her pain. You're not familiar with that?
I'm not familiar with that, but I'm not familiar with that. I've never heard of him hitting Aisha.
T says they knew it. They called it because T was saying.
Can you say that?
T
Can
was,
you tell me what
T,
hadith it is?
T was saying, yeah, I'm going to say this if you mention that.
Oh,
So
I'm reading the comments now.
It's Sahih Muslim, book 4, 2127. It's a long hadith. Basically, when you read it, I advise you to read it as well.
Okay.
Like, obviously,
I'm just searching it up.
Muslims have a lot of obviously patchwork that they do on it, but the hadith says what it says, right? But you read it, it's a long hadith. Basically, in the story, it goes like this. Muhammad, apparently, it's Aisha's night. So Muhammad comes to see Aisha. He's lying in the bed.
Wait, sorry, can you say it again? Because I think I typed it up wrong.
Sahih Muslim, book 4, 2172. 2127. 2127.
2127. Okay.
Sahih
I'm
Muslim, book
searching
4, 2127. So basically, it's Aisha's night. Muhammad comes to see her. He gets
and this is the one where apparently he hits Aisha. Is that what?
It's not apparently. Hadith,
Okay.
you read it, it says he
Okay,
struck her on the chest and she says it caused her pain. So, yeah, he basically comes to the house, he lies in the bed, and he basically gets up at some point. It's nighttime, and then he goes out. So she follows him, and she's following him along. He gets to a particular place. He prays, allegedly, like it says he's praying or whatever, right? And then he feels like someone's following him. So he now starts going back. Aisha starts running home. She gets home first. She jumps in the bed, and that's basically like she's sleeping. So then he gets up and he's just like, Aisha, like, what are you doing, basically? Was that you who I saw, basically, like the shadow that was running before me? And at first she doesn't tell the truth. She's not like, yes. Eventually she's just like, okay, she tells him everything. You woke up, you got out, I got up and went after you, and then whatever. So she's basically thinking he's gonna go to someone else's house, one of the other women, and then whatever. So then it talks about how he struck her on the chest. She says he struck her on the chest, which caused pain. So the Muslims are gonna say he struck her, but it wasn't like he touched her chest. It wasn't to hurt her. That's what they're gonna say. But it just happened that she had pain, which to me just sounds like patchwork. But I'll tell you what they're gonna say, whether you believe or want to take that as reasonable. Like Aisha's saying, what he did to her caused their pain. If they're gonna turn around and say no, but he didn't intend to cause her pain. They're gonna say something along those lines.
Okay, what do you have to say to the Muslims that say that he didn't intend to cause pain? If you're claiming that that's what Muslims are going to respond to you with.
Well, there's multiple things you can say. I would just say, well, okay, let's say he didn't intend to do it. Still did it though, didn't he? So I'll put it like this, right? When you unalive someone, they will say, okay, cool, you get a life sentence. If someone unalives someone unintentionally, there's still punishment for it. It's still seen as, okay, wrong, but it's not intentional. So you're not going to get the same punishment, but you're going to get a punishment nonetheless.
Okay. I think that analogy was reasonable. I think it's okay.
I
I
still think
think
it's
you're
patchwork
right.
though.
It's
I still
important
think
to
it. No, I
acknowledge.
just don't get me twisted. I still think it's patchwork because Aisha says what she says.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So your murder analogy, in that scenario, of course, intention or no intention, a murder was done, a consequence needs to happen. That me and you can both agree on. However, that analogy only really works because when you murder someone, you've murdered someone, they're dead. There's no coming back from that. So a consequence needs to happen no matter if it was manslaughter or murder or first degree murder, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think you can reduce this specific hadith, this specific scenario to something so black and white as murder.
But okay. Even if let's say I agree with you, like I'm just
Okay.
telling you what I believe is Muslim patchwork because I don't have to
When you say
accept.
Muslim patchwork, what do you mean?
Like
Do you,
they're just
do
like
you
this is. I just look at this as Islam, like Muslims trying to dress up what's clear and obvious. If I don't have to accept that he didn't intend to do it, what in the context will tell you that he didn't intend to do it? If he struck her
Okay.
and she had pain, like it's reasonable to just say, okay, yes, like in that moment he was angry and he hit her.
Yeah.
That's what it says. But
Yeah.
I would only be giving the Muslim the benefit of the doubt if I just said, okay, cool, he didn't intend to do it because it doesn't say anything about him not intending to do it.
From my understanding about this hadith, from the way you've explained it, what my interpretation is that it wasn't a very, very violent or harmful hitting, but it was a gentle push or a gentle pressure on her chest that wasn't intended to hurt her, but did hurt her because obviously she claimed it, right? So me and you can both agree on that. But you made a very when I asked you about what you mean about Muslim patchwork, you said,
Yep.
Muslims just dressing up or like sugarcoating things, right? Is that what you mean?
Like
Muslims sugarcoating things?
think about this, right? I could make the argument that Muhammad, as the hadith says, striking her on the chest and causing her pain. I could easily just say, well, this is in line with other hadith where Muhammad orders his men to beat women. So it would be full in line. Or a Muslim is only going to say, this is the problem I have with Muslims, especially on this topic.
Okay.
And a Muslim can make an argument and say, oh, well, look, there's these hadith which say don't beat a woman or don't harm her or beating women is bad, depending on which Muslim you're talking to. But there's also loads of contradictory hadith which talk about Muhammad ordering women to be beaten by their husbands and the women complaining about it and stuff along those lines, which is like, okay, how are you going to make sense of all of these hadith where some are clearly like contradictory? What do? Muslims are going to say, well, let's focus on these hadiths. And I'm like, okay, but these hadith are over here too. Why are we going to just focus on those hadith and not focus on these hadith? I don't really get what I believe are good, sufficient answers to those questions.
Okay. I am going to reply to you, but before I reply to you, do you want to read what the comments are saying? Okay, Sakina, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but she said, let's talk about the Bible and women, please. The verses in the Bible are shocking. I definitely do want to go on that topic, but I want to finish what me and you were talking about first.
This is the thing, right? I even spoke to a Muslim about this earlier. There's no Bible verse where you're going to find a husband beating his wife and that's
fine. That's fine. We can go. I don't want to deviate the discussion because you've been making some good points, so I want to stick to that. But I just want to hold the Bible topic just after we finish what me and you were talking about, if that's okay.
Yeah, like
because I want to address what you've said. Yeah.
Cool. Go ahead.
Okay. Genuinely, I agree and I understand. I think it's unfair that Muslims are picking and choosing the hadiths. They pick hadiths that make Islam look good, and then just completely reject hadiths or say, oh, like I don't know, and then like they just reject hadiths that they don't like. Okay,
that's what I was accusing you of doing earlier, right?
The frustration, and I understand how this looks. But this is why, from the beginning of this conversation, I said that we need to do more research into these hadiths. Because clearly Muslims can't even agree with what hadiths are right and what hadiths should be rejected, or what hadiths need more context. If Muslims can't agree, as a collective, we need to learn about the context more. We need to look at the translations more. We need to know what websites are good, what websites are bad. We need to know more information before we can dive into this, which is why we need to focus less on the hadith and more on the Quran. The Quran is the heart of Islam. The Quran is on a higher pedestal than the hadith. We need to be speaking about the Quran more. That's what I have to say. I completely understand your frustration. However, as a whole, in the grand scheme of things, the Quran makes it so clear what the moral principles are, and it's being kind. It is treating your woman correctly. It is a marriage being of true love. It is a man and a woman being spiritually equal in the eyes of Allah. A Muslim cannot go against these moral principles in the Quran that are so consistently repeated.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, and
Yeah.
all I'm gonna say is, we went to the Quran because that's where you wanted to go.
Yeah.
We spoke about a verse in the Quran,
Mm-hmm.
and the Quran is saying if a man fears disobedience from his wife or fears rebellion, he is entitled to these stages or these steps, however you interpret it. Some say stages, some just say these are the options. One of those options is to beat.
To beat indicates strong violence. That is not what the word daraba should be translated to. As I
Okay.
said, daraba can be translated into many things. The majority of scholars say that it is just another form of separation, a further step into separation, or leaving your wife maybe for that night, maybe for a few hours. A smaller handful of people think that it is using a miswak, just like maybe on her shoulder or her arm or something in serious cases, but it would never indicate true violence because it goes against everything the Quran stands for. That's all I have to say about the verse as of now. I should do more research though as to what other scholars say about it.
Obviously, you definitely should, because the majority don't say it's about separation. I know that much for sure. So, obviously, like I said, I'm not surprised the approach you're coming from, because I feel like this is what you've been doing from the very beginning. It's
Okay.
scholars say a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Scholars can say one thing and another thing. I don't care too much about what scholars say unless they're making sound, reasonable arguments. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the things you've said multiple times is this Arabic word daraba means beat, and it has multiple definitions, which I agree with. When you first said it initially, I said, yeah, it's true. I know that. So there's examples, like I could put it like this. There are examples in the Quran where daraba is used in like a violent way. You do know that, right?
Wasn't aware of daraba being used in more violent contexts. Are you like
So
I'm not aware of that.
So you think the Quran, when it's using the word daraba, it's only used in like a non-violent way?
In this specific context of Surah 4 verse 34, yes, it is in a non-violent way.
No, but why? If, like you've already said, the word has a wide range of meaning, and you've accepted that one of the meanings is like a physical, like a violent beating, like something physical. Why are you so quick to just be like, yeah, but it can't be that here?
Because that is a very, very good question. And my umbrella response to that question is because it genuinely goes against what the Quran stands for. The Quran teaches us that in a marriage you should love one another. The Quran teaches us to love your wife, to love your husband. The Quran teaches us there are so many different verses that promote love for your husband and love for your wife, that say that man and woman are together in a marriage in a very spiritually equal way. So if you have so many verses consistently just showing how important love and care is and kindness is, it makes sense that daraba means in a non-violent way. Do you
But
understand what I'm saying? What do you
I get what
think?
you're saying, but I'm just like, even if I agreed with all of the stuff you're saying, the Quran apparently says love your wife, and the Quran says treat your wife well. How would that contradict a passage which is saying a husband, if he fears like rebellion from his wife, these are the things you can do, and one of them being beating them? You could make sense of everything you just said along with this verse, because this is a woman who's not doing the right thing, or the guy thinks she's doing something wrong. Like, why would it not be able to coexist with everything you're saying?
Um okay. I I do understand what okay, I do understand what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's a valid point, yes. I do see what you're saying in the sense that you can just treat your wife nicely, but then in this specific context, it's just allowing you to beat them if you think that they will disobey. I do see that, like I do understand that, but I just one of the main reasons I think we can genuinely come to the conclusion that daraba means in a non-violent way is because I don't know the exact verse. I'm going to need to search this up, but there was a verse in the context of divorcing your spouse, divorcing your wife, or divorcing your husband, and it said that do not go to harm them or transgress them. And I think that shows that even in the midst of divorce, even in the midst of disagreement, using your position to harm or oppress your spouse is forbidden. So that teaching alone shows that I think no matter the situation you're in, no matter if you're even in the midst of a divorce, the Quran teaches us to not harm our spouse. I think that is a very strong verse that shows that we cannot be harming our spouse, no matter what the situation is, no matter how much you disagree with your spouse. That is one, I think, strong verse. There are probably other verses. There are definitely other verses.
So again, I understand what you're saying, and even if I agree with you and say, okay, cool, the Quran says, even without you giving me a verse, even if I say, okay, cool, the Quran apparently says that you're not supposed to do harm when you are getting divorced. How would that contradict or make this verse like inaccurate? It wouldn't.
Because it genuinely does. Because in a divorce, right? In a divorce, you're actively leaving your partner. There is a large amount of disagreement, probably arguing that has led up to that moment, and yet it still says to retain from harming or transgressing your spouse.
Again, even if that was true, that wouldn't contradict or go against what this verse is saying. Both of those two things can coexist and go together without any issue.
But in both scenarios, disagreement is happening, and in one scenario, someone can interpret that it means violence, but in another scenario about divorce, it's clearly stating to not beat them up, no matter how much disagreement there is, even if you're going to divorce your spouse.
Obviously, you believe that's what he's saying.
I believe what? That's what the divorce verse is saying, or
Yeah.
what?
You're making.
No. The divorce verse is very, very clear in saying to retain from harming or transgressing them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You are saying that this verse teaches this and is applicable to potential beating. So I'm saying, if I go with you down this pathway and say, okay, the Quran apparently says a husband or a wife, or listen, a Quran apparently says a husband shouldn't do harm to his wife when it's in the stage of divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Why is this 34? 34 is not talking about divorce, it's before divorce. So
okay,
it wouldn't need to apply. it doesn't have to apply, is my point.
Okay, I do agree with you. I think the divorce verse is probably one minor verse amongst many, many verses that prove that we shouldn't be using violence against our wives.
See, the problem is you're agreeing with me a lot, but still going down a different pathway.
No, I'm not, because I'm acknowledging the fact that there are lots of other verses that which I don't know off the top of my head, but those verses do go against the beating of your wife, that show that you need to be forgiving and nice and loving.
Let me ask you this.
Maybe the
right?
difference between me and a lot of Muslims, a lot of other Muslims that you've debated, is that I'm okay with being self-aware about the fact that I need to do more research. That's the only difference.
No,
I'm
you
just
did. You,
I'm
can
just
I,
telling you that I
can
don't
I be
know.
real with you?
Yeah.
The difference is you don't believe what Muhammad said about Muslim women in the hadith. That's the difference.
That is not the difference, because
Yeah,
there
it is the
so much.
difference.
No, there's so
It
much
is the
context
difference.
in that needs to be go. Look, there are some
Do,
verses in the Bible that are controversial, and you probably have context for them, and that's okay. But I don't have context for a lot of hadiths. That doesn't mean that I just outright reject them.
do you know what Muhammad said about women in the hadith?
In what hadith?
Because you already used to like, no, that's not the case. This is like, you're not the normal Muslim I speak to. This is why I'm happy to speak for this long with you, because you continue to show me that you are reasonable. You're reasoning through stuff, which is what I believe all women can do. Obviously, Muhammad, according to Dave, didn't believe that. Muhammad said in the hadith that women are basically half-brained. So their minds are deficient, is what Muhammad said in the hadith. And you don't strike me as someone who has a deficient mind. You strike me as someone who can have a conversation, we can reason and we can ask questions and we can go back and forth and we can understand each other. This is how I believe God created us all, men and women, to think and to reason and to be able to do this stuff. This is what I'm saying. Most of the Muslims out there drink the Kool-Aid, basically. They believe that what Muhammad is saying is right. This is one of the reasons why they're the most people in hell, according to the hadith. So, like, I get it why a lot of Muslims want to reject the hadith, but I just don't at the same time believe it's consistent to say you believe in Islam, say you believe in the Quran, say you believe in this, but dash the hadith to the wayside. Because like I said earlier on, like, the hadith is what gives the Quran so much more context and so much more understanding. And like I asked you earlier on, you wouldn't even know how many chapters are in the Quran without the hadith.
I don't know why you're saying that, because if you have the Quran, we know that there's 114 chapters in them. We have the book, we can count how many chapters are there.
That now gets into the whole conversation about what the hadith tells us about people who memorize the Quran dying in war and why they started writing the Quran down in the first place. Like, wherever we go, it's going to come back to the hadith for you to get most of these answers.
As I've said, I feel like you're acting like you said putting hadith to the side, quote. I'm not doing that. I've repeatedly said that I'm not rejecting it. I'm not putting it to a side. I just need to do more research myself.
So the point I'm making is the same Sahih hadith that you are going to accept, which is going to tell you there's 114 surahs in the Quran. And this is what Uthman did in order to make sure the Quran was preserved. Those are the same Sahih hadith like we looked at earlier on, where it's talking about a woman who buries her child alive and the girl, both of them going to hell. They're both Sahih. So you have to, that's the problem that you have, that you will never be able to escape. And this is why I'm saying there's like, reasonably, you shouldn't be skeptical of Sahih hadith. This is why most Muslims will say, like, no, that's not the right way to do this. You have to accept the Sahih hadith.
Yes, we need to accept hadiths that are authentic, but I really don't understand. I feel like we're going in a circle. I'm telling you that I'm going to learn more context of the hadith. I need to learn the full translations because websites like sunnah.com do a bad job when it comes to direct translation because it doesn't even give context on top of that as
Allegedly.
well.
Allegedly.
I allegedly, fine, okay, I'll go with that.
Most
I
a lot,
need to do more research, yes, but just because I'm acknowledging that my knowledge is limited doesn't make me any less of a Muslim. And I'm sure if I told another Muslim, look, I don't know a lot about the Sahih Hadith. I need to do more research. I'm never going to make the claim that I reject the Hadith. They will accept that response from me because I'm showing that I'm open to learning more, and I will never reject the Hadith because Hadith is obviously so important to Islam.
well, one thing I would advise you, definitely keep that openness and that reason, because it will definitely lead you to more and more truth, which, like I said to you before, a lot of Muslims as a whole, right? And it's not even just Muslims, like Muslims in general, when you ask them certain questions, when you have these sorts, they can't have these sorts of conversations, most of them, because it's too, I don't know, like if it's just too emotional for them or like what it is, but you have conversations with them on different topics and they just malfunction, as we like to say.
Malfunction.
Yeah, because they're basically just like robots.
They as in the Muslims in general, or Muslims that
No,
you've debated?
not Muslims in general. Just like a lot of the Muslims I've had conversations with,
Right.
they malfunction. We have
When what? When
when
you
you
bring up hadith?
when you ask them certain questions. Like, so for example, right, the hadith we looked at earlier on about the woman and the girl. Like, I've asked Muslims about that before. They'll say stuff like, well, I'll ask them, okay, cool. So it says the woman's going to go to hell. Kind of like I think I asked you. And they were like, okay, yeah, it's good. And the moment I talk about the child, all of a sudden, they don't know what to say anymore. Because they're not being willing to continue to be consistent. And then all of a sudden, it's like, okay, yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm talking about.
It's not, I don't know though, because I'm sure a lot of Muslims would have told you that that second part completely goes against the core principles of the Quran. The Quran tells us that before puberty, children are not going to go to hell, that they're all going to go to paradise. A lot of Muslims are also going to tell you that websites like sunnah.com and a lot of these hadith websites that are quote unquote made by Muslims are not that good at translating, because Old Arabic to English is a whole different world, and so many words in Arabic have multiple different meanings. Okay, when it comes to hadith, I genuinely argue that scholars are the best people to answer these questions, not Muslims like us that genuinely don't have enough knowledge about hadith, because you do need to have an immense amount of knowledge about these things to answer them like scholars do.
Do you
Okay?
know who
Yeah.
Dr. Yasser Qadi is?
Yes. Yeah, I'm pretty there.
Do you think he's a scholar?
Yes, apparently he is, yeah.
Do you think he's a very knowledgeable scholar?
I would assume that every scholar. Wait, can you say his name again, just so I have the right person in mind?
Yasser Qadi. Dr. Yasser Qadi.
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming that he's a scholar, yeah, and I'm assuming that every scholar knows enough knowledge.
Okay. Do you know what he says about 434?
I don't know.
I played the video, one of his videos before. He says, one of the things he said in that video was, he advises people because he advises in certain situations now living in the West for you to skip over the third stage.
Okay.
Why do you think he would say that if it's talking about like leaving emotionally or leaving the house? Why do you think he would say, yeah, just skip over that now? Don't do it.
Because I also said that Muslims hold the interpretation that it means using a miswak, a light stick, on your wife's arm.
If
That is
he
also another so that is probably the interpretation that
so
he
if
has in his mind when he's
so
talking about that.
if he believed that it was a miswak, why would he say skip over it? Why would he
If I
say,
had,
don't
look,
worry, just skip
obviously
over
I
it,
don't
go and
have.
divorce them? Why would he say that? Continue to use the same reason you've been using this whole conversation. Come on. Why do you think reasonably he would say, today's day and age, people don't really understand what's going on here. In a different time, he says this could have saved the marriage. But why would he say, yeah, I would just say today, skip over it? Reasonably.
Reasonably, because a lot of people do like to interpret it in a sense of violence, I would assume that when he said that, his intention was just to say, do not worry about the step in the Quran that is clearly so heavily debated. Just do not do anything violent to your wife, because clearly, even though the verse doesn't say to harm your wife, there is heavy debate surrounding that verse. So I'm not saying that this is correct, but if I had to assume why he said what you're saying, I'm assuming that he said that just to lower down, like just like to decrease the heavy debate about that last verse, and just to tell people to not even consider that verse, because it's just gonna lead down into a rabbit hole of disagreement. That's if I had to assume.
Okay. So let me ask you this. You saying that made me think of something. So are you familiar with what paradise is going to be like according to the Quran?
Briefly.
Okay. From your brief understanding, what's it going to be like in the Quran, in the paradise for men? What do they get to do in paradise?
I think I know where this conversation is heading.
Yep. Maybe you do.
Okay. If I had to assume where this conversation is heading, I've heard a lot. I know I've seen a lot of TikToks that say that men apparently get 72 virgin wives in paradise, but that isn't true.
Let's just say loads. They get loads. So what did the women get?
Every person can get anything they ask for.
So still Muslims can get 10 husbands basically.
From my understanding, anyone in paradise is entitled to anything that they can get.
So a Muslim can have 10 husbands in paradise.
From my current
your
limited understanding, yes, because you can just ask for anything in paradise.
Okay. And one of the things that a woman could potentially ask for is for multiple husbands. Do you have anything in the Quran which goes with that line of reasoning that you have? Like men obviously have in the Quran that says they're going to get this sort of stuff.
From what I know about the key principles is because paradise is for both both men and women equally, the rewards for both of them are perfect and complete, and it's, from my understanding, it's not dependent on the gender of them, because paradise is for both men and women.
Okay, but if the Quran is saying that this is what the men are going to get, he's not saying like it's for men. It's not for
No, because women can ask for anything as well.
Okay, based on what?
I don't know the not I don't know the not like I don't know the number of the verse or the chapter off the top of my head, but I do know that women can just ask for anything.
Okay. And you think,
because I do know that the Quran repeatedly emphasizes that paradise completely satisfies both men and women. The Quran never made the rewards of women subordinate to men.
so if men in paradise get to have their pick, I'll just put it like that, how is that not pleasurable or like providing happiness for the women?
Wait, can you? I don't understand what you just said. Can
All right,
you
so
repeat
look,
it?
let me read something to you from the Quran, right? Obviously, you said again before you're not skeptical about the Quran, right? So this is all sound as adhere to you, right?
Okay, yeah, read
Okay,
it.
so this is chapter 56, verse. We'll start at 27. So it starts by saying, "The companions of the right, eyes in the right hand, will be those who will be those on the right hand." Who are these people going to be? It says. Next verse, 28 says, let's say, mid thornless, no. They will be among thornless, low. Okay, they're going to be among, these sorts of trees. They're going to be among nice trees. Okay. Then it says in verse 29, and serrate acacias. Okay, so they're going to be amongst nice trees. There's going to be these different trees and these different fruits, food for them. Sounds nice. Verse 30 says, and spreading shade. So they're not going to be burnt by the sun or anything along those lines. Then it says in verse 31, and outpoured waters, okay, or water flowing constantly. So nice rivers, etc. 32. And fruits abounding. So there's going to be loads of fruit. So far, this sounds good, right?
Yes.
Fruit in plenty. So trees, water, fruit, food, etc. And then it says unfailing and unforbidden, whose season is not limited and their supply will not be cut off. So it's going to be unlimited, right? Which sounds great as well. Verse 34. And upraised and appraised couches, and on the couches or thrones raised high. Okay, cool. So they're going to have nice position. Verse 35 says, perfectly we form them perfect. Hilali Khan says, verily we have created them, and it says in brackets, maidens of special creation. Pickfile says, lo, we have created them a new creation. Read through the different translations. Sahih International says, for example, indeed we have produced the women of paradise in a new creation. We have created their companions of special creation. The point is, you read through most of these translations, the other ones will probably say even the same. This is verse 35 in chapter 56. It's talking about these women, perfect women that are being created, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's not talking about perfect women and perfect men. It's just talking about perfect women, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then it says, and we have, this is now verse 36, and we have made them, Arbery says, spotless virgins. And you go through the different translations, they all basically say the same thing. And we've made them virgins, or we've made them virgins, we've made them virgins. They're all basically saying we made them pure, undefiled. All basically saying the same thing. There's these women that are going to be there in this paradise-like environment who are created specially. And it says, chastely amorous, so loving their husbands only, equal in age, lovers, friends, devoted to their husbands and of equal age. Okay. And then verse 38, it says, like of the age of the companions of the right. So this is how he closes it. Like, this is what it's going to be like for those who are doing the right things. When we get to the paradise, there's going to be this unlimited amount of fruit and resource, and you're going to be in this nice position. There's going to be flowing water. It's going to be great, basically. Paradise. And in this paradise, Allah is saying here in this chapter, he's going to create these special women, these new creations, which are pure and are going to be there pleasing for their husbands. So when I'm saying, well, look, this is something which is clear in the Quran, which you said you're not skeptical about. Do you have a verse in the Quran which is explaining paradise from a female perspective, where it's like, you're going to be a female in paradise and you're going to get these new special created men who you get to enjoy at your choosing? Or, like we're reading in this passage, it's talking about this is what it's going to be set for, like for the man. You understand the point I'm making?
Yes.
Okay. So a man is going to be able to deflower all of these women as much as he likes. It's an unlimited, like a buffet, basically. The woman, from her perspective, what's she going to be doing? She's going to be being deflowered by all of these men to his heart's content.
Okay, so before I answer your main question, I just want to say the translations that say the word virgin, the reason the translation says virgin is because the actual Arabic emphasizes purity, beauty, and joy. So the translation technically says virgin, but people do take that out of context. So I just want to make that very clear.
What do you mean by
But
they take it out of context?
because people take it out of context and then obviously make a lie saying that, oh, men get 72 virgins, and they spread that on TikTok. I'm just making a point that the word, yes, it has been translated to virgin, but the true Arabic at its core emphasized the purity and just the beauty of the companions.
Okay, and is it?
I just want to make that clear.
No, that's good. It's helpful. So is it singular or plural?
I'm not sure. I think because it depends on the context, because technically you can just ask for anything.
No, but I'm saying like
Okay.
the verse 36 in Arabic, because you specifically spoke about the Arabic. So in Arabic, is it singular about these special creations, or is it?
I don't know.
All right, let's see what it says here. Virgins. Noun, female, plural, indefinite, accusative noun. So it's a plural. The Arabic word is plural. Abkaran. Do you know Arabic? Do you speak Arabic?
No. I don't speak Arabic. I
Okay,
just
so
know it. I know a few words here and there. I am learning Arabic, but I'm not fluent.
So it's the Arabic word is abkaran, virgins, and it's a female, plural, and indefinite. So it's plural.
Okay.
So these are some of the reasons. Like, obviously, you look in the literature, they're going to say there's all different debates. Like, some say 70, some say 72. Some just say, well, it just means 70 is a way of saying in Arab, like in Islam, like a lot. So it could be more than 70. It could be unlimited. Like, the way that the passages we read do seem like there's going to be unlimited fruit. It's going to be like a buffet to a certain degree. You could reasonably come to that interpretation based on the surrounding verses talking about this paradise for men. But there's nothing like this in the Quran for women, is there?
No, there are verses in the Quran that talk about women in paradise.
This verse talks about women in paradise, but I'm saying, like, there aren't verses in the Quran which talk about women being given these newly specially created men to fulfill their desires, etc. Is there?
Yes, there are plenty of verses that talk about specifically what women get in paradise. I don't know why you're saying that women don't get verses in the Quran about what they get in paradise.
I'm saying not just verses. I'm sure there's verses in the Quran about women in paradise. This is one, but I'm just saying there's nothing like what we've read, like, for women.
Well, I know in chapter 36, I don't know the exact verse, but I know in chapter 36 there is a verse that goes something along the lines of they, referring to women, they and their spouses will be reclining on thrones and I think facing each other, something along the lines of that. And that shows that women are promised companions or, husbands in paradise.
Obviously, what we read in chapter 56 wouldn't disagree with that, would it? If a Muslim man is in paradise and he has a wife and they're together, that doesn't mean he can't have all these other women, does it?
But also the Quran, the Quran teaches us that Allah removes whatever burden in both women and men's heart and lets them rejoice in the reward of paradise with their companions. If a man is truly with a wife, he won't he probably wouldn't go out of his way to ask for more.
Why? There's like, again, there's hadith which talk about how Allah's going to give like a man like a big tent, and he's going to be able to go amongst his women basically, and people aren't going to know.
Okay, I haven't heard of that hadith before. I'll be honest, when it comes to paradise, clearly I do not know a lot about what women and men are granted. But from my limited knowledge, I'm just aware that the key principles are both women and men have a good time in paradise. Both women and men are granted that they're in perfect health, eternal beauty, they're pure, they're healthy, and all that sort of stuff. From my knowledge, it's equal for men and women. But I should do more research into that and into whatever hadith you said about the tent.
Yeah, I think the more you research, especially this topic, you're going to see that paradise seems like a place in Islam for men to enjoy themselves. And like, you can make the case, arguably, that these women that it's talking about here in the Quran are going to enjoy themselves. That is the enjoyment they get, to please the men.
But hypothetically, if a man just asked for multiple women and Allah created that, that's not necessarily, it could just be beings, like it could like genuinely, like Allah could just create like extra humans in paradise for men. It doesn't necessarily need to be other women in paradise that have lived on earth, because Allah wouldn't exploit other women in paradise just because one man asked for it, because Allah is just.
How would it be exploitation? So I'll give you an example, right? In the Quran again, which you said you're not skeptical about, a man can have how many wives?
4.
Okay. So a man, before we even get to paradise, here on earth, can have up to 4 wives. So is he exploiting women?
Okay,
now
no,
on
okay.
earth?
Polygamy is a whole debate, right? We need. I don't think we can intertwine the paradise debate and the polygamy debate that much, because polygamy is a whole different thing.
Okay. Would you? If are you married?
No. I'm
Okay.
only 18.
Okay. Wow. So, if you were married and your husband said he wants to marry another woman, what would you think about that?
No. My plan is when I get married, it'll be clear in the contract that I wish to be the only wife. It'll be made clear from the beginning. He won't need to ask me later on in the marriage if he can have another wife. So that wouldn't happen, realistically speaking.
So, what if he signs that contract and says, okay, you're going to be the only one, but he lies and just goes and does it anyway?
That's not, no, I would divorce him.
How would you know if he just says, yes, you're going to be the only one, but he's got someone else?
That is cheating. Maybe he can.
It's not cheating. In Islam,
yes, that is.
In Islam, one of the people you can lie to your wife if it pleases her. So if he lies to you and says you're the only one because it's going to keep you happy and keep you at home and not try and seek divorce.
Do you seriously think that because the Quran says that we need to please our wife and that we shouldn't, Wait, you think because the Quran says that we should lie to please our wives, that makes adultery okay?
How would it be adultery if a man in Islam can have multiple wives? It wouldn't be adultery according to Islam.
Okay, but wives need to be aware of... The wife needs to be aware of this. It needs to be...
How?
In their marriage contract. You cannot lie about... This is such a big lie. The Quran does not allow that.
So you know the Quran allows a husband to lie to his wife.
Okay, I didn't.
To please her.
Okay, I don't know about that verse. but I can accept that. But what I can say with confidence is that the Quran condemns lying and cheating and making false claims. Big claims about hiding a whole wife. Like, that's insane.
Wow. So you don't like it, but you understand how Muslim men could do this.
Wait, sorry, can you repeat that?
So you don't like the fact that a Muslim man could lie to his wife and say like, yeah, I'm gonna sign the contract. I'm gonna say you're the only one, but he could go behind her back and continue to say, look, you're the only one, but and continue to lie because it's gonna be pleasing to her. She's gonna be happy, but have another wife somewhere else.
Like, yeah, that goes against the Quran. That's not okay.
How does it go against the Quran?
Because the Quran emphasizes that in a marriage, trust is very, very important. For example, in chapter 23, it says, those who are faithful to their trusts and their covenants. Marriage is a trust, and misrepresenting your relationships, for example, hiding a whole wife behind your wife's back, violates that trust. Islam commands justice and kindness and honesty towards our spouses. So in this case, lying about your marital situation to your wife harms that trust, challenges that trust, and contradicts the principles of marriage that the Quran teaches us about.
So again, if he can lie to her to please her.
Okay. Logically speaking, the context of like lying to please her, it's probably small lies. There is probably context for that. Logically speaking, the Quran does not say it's okay to lie about a whole wife.
Logically speaking, a lie is acceptable if it pleases the wife.
Okay, you keep on referring to this verse, so I'm going to search this up.
Interesting.
Okay, I can't find this verse. Can you tell me the chapter and the verse number?
I don't think I ever said this in Quran. I'm sure I said this hadith. But
oh, sorry, it's hadith. Okay, so a hadith said.
I'll try and find it for you. Quickly. They reported the live stream again, guys, by the way, a little while back. So I think the under's going to come out true today, but it was worth it for this good conversation.
Sorry, what was worth it?
I was just saying, we normally do this thing on my live streams where I'm like, let's guess how many times the Muslims are going to report the live stream. So
the live stream?
Yeah, they normally report the live stream. They normally report the live stream for hate speech and stuff like that because we have conversations about the hadith and the Quran, and same kind of conversation we've had very well today, like me and you. But I don't remember I was saying earlier on about Muslims malfunctioning.
Yes, is that what you meant?
Yeah, they do that.
Look, that is a very, very immature approach to be obviously reporting the live. Like I do disagree with that, and certain Muslims that you have debated that apparently have been rude to you, reporting the live, malfunctioning, glitching, whatever you want to call it, they don't represent the full Muslim community. And in generally speaking, Muslims are nice people. They should be mature when it comes to debates. And the Muslims that you're debating should just accept the fact that they don't have enough information about something, obviously, instead of reporting your life, which is wrong.
Obviously, most Muslims think I'm lying about the stuff I'm saying. So from that perspective, I understand why they may do that. If they think, oh, you said Muhammad said this, or this Quran says this, and they're like, no, he's lying. I can get that, but I don't think it justifies it. But it would be better for you to actually ask me, like, where does it say this stuff?
No, I don't think anything. I don't think there's any justification for acting immature. So
But this is the thing as well. Like, I'm gonna find this hadith for you. You're gonna probably say the same thing you've been saying. Like, well, I'm skeptical about it. So. Find it. Right. So here, Muslim. Let's see. Muslim. I'm not, and I was looking for the hadith or whatever where it says a man can lie. Not the Houris. We read the passage about the Houris already.
and also when you find it, can you please also tell me the number so I can search it up?
Mm-hmm. All right, Muslim. So here, Muslim, 2605. So here, Muslim 2605. It says, I'll just read the part that's relevant. A liar is not one who lies to bring reconciliation amongst people and speaks good in order to avert dispute. So if you are lying to, I guess they would say bring peace, they'd say that's acceptable, or he conveys good. Then it says, where is it? There's 3 cases where you can lie. In battle, for bringing reconciliation amongst persons. In battle. In battle is one of the places you can lie. For bringing reconciliation amongst persons. And then it says, and the narration of the words of the husband to his wife. So, a husband speaking to his wife, and the narration of the words of a wife to her husband in a twisted form in order to bring reconciliation between them. So it's basically just saying a husband can lie to his wife, and there's some versions out there which talk about the wife being able to lie to the husband as well.
Okay, yeah.
So it's a hadith. The hadith are the gift that keep on giving.
Yeah. Okay, so do you have more to say about the hadith, or do you want to hear what I have to say about it?
No, it's just what do you have to say about it? Like, if it's giving you exceptions to lie in certain circumstances, one of them is for a husband to lie to his wife if he's going to please her. So that's general. That could apply to so much different stuff.
Okay, so from what I know, I think either most scholars or genuinely every scholar is very clear that this lying isn't meant to be deception. The lying mentioned in this hadith is meant to be harmless or just affectionate exaggeration to please your wife, or vice versa. Just harmless lies to please your wife. So
lying
it's not meant
isn't
to be
deception. Lying isn't meant to be deception, you said.
It's not meant to have a consequence, because in the long term that's not pleasing your wife, is it?
I don't think you should lie to your wife.
In some there is so much we could like it's scholars generally agree that it's meant to be small harmless lies, or just exaggerating some things just to please your wife, or vice versa. Because obviously situations aren't black and white. Sometimes you need to say a thing or two here and there to bring reconciliation. But in no way, shape or form does that mean that hiding a whole wife is okay. Because there's so many consequences to that.
Not if you don't find out. If you don't find out, then it does its job. You've been pleased, you're happy the whole time. Everything went well.
Argument sake, you're right. You're pleasing your wife. But Allah knows your intention. Allah knows that you're trying to hide your wife because you don't want the other wife to find out. You want to have 2 wives without any consequences.
Yes.
But Allah knows but Allah knows your intention, because
It,
Islam is all about intention. Allah knows what's in your heart. If Allah knows that that man has he doesn't have a good heart because he's being morally unjust.
how does he not have a good heart if he's doing what Allah gives him the power to do, i.e., have multiple wives? He's also doing what Allah's given him the power to do, to potentially lie in that situation. So wife number one is pleased and happy and is in this bubble that, yeah, everything's fine, I'm his only one, and he's got another wife somewhere else. What would he be doing which is against what Islam gives him the power to do? He'd be doing exactly the right thing according to Islam.
No, it's not. And the reason is because the hadith says that we can do a lie here and there or just exaggerate something to please our wife. Why? Because your intention is to be nice to your wife. Because you love your wife and you have the intention to love and care for her and for her to be happy, yes, you can take some measures to get there. However, if you're talking about a second man who wants to have a whole other wife, you and I can both say, I hope with confidence, that that man doesn't have good intentions. So if that man doesn't have good intentions because he is lying to his wife about having a whole other wife, his intention is not to please his wife. His
Is pleasing your
intention,
wife a good intention?
pleasing his wife, hiding his
No,
wife.
forget
is
about
that.
that.
No.
Is
Listen to me.
pleasing your wife a
Hiding
good
his-
intention?
If it's in your heart, obviously it's a good. If you want to please your wife, yes, it's a good intention.
So he's doing a good intended thing in the framework of Islam.
No, because in his heart is all about having a second wife and hiding it. The consequence of hiding it is pleasing his wife, but it's not his intention. That's the difference.
So I mentioned this to someone earlier on. Are you familiar with the story with Muhammad and his female captive that he was having intercourse with? Are you familiar with that story?
No.
Okay. Something you just said made me think about it, reminded me of it again. So basically the story goes like this. Muhammad has this captive woman that he enjoys spending time with. I'll just put it like that. And his wives, some of the wives don't like it. So some of the wives basically say like, Muhammad, what are you doing? Like, don't do it, basically. Muhammad says to them, he gives his word, I'm not going to do anything with this woman anymore. This special captive of his that he likes to spend time with. So he gives his word to them. Then they find him with her again in bed, basically. And it creates some big dust up. And then in that scenario, Allah rebukes Muhammad and is like, why are you not doing the thing I've given you license to do? Why did you even say to them you're not going to do it? And wait to get caught, basically, for you to just start doing it again, basically. So when Muhammad said to these wives, I'm not going to do anything with this female captive anymore, based on what you were saying before, where were his intentions at, considering he went back to do it anyway?
Okay, is that a hadith or from the Quran?
It's the Quran, and then there's like tafsir. You know what tafsir are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the tafsir fills in for the Quran. It gives you some understanding about what's actually going on. What do you think? What do you think about it anyway?
I haven't heard of. I haven't heard of that before.
But based on the scenario, he was trying to please his wives because they weren't happy with it. And he said he won't visit this female captive anymore. And he got caught. And then he gets revelation.
I'll be honest, I don't know. I've never heard of this. I haven't come across that before, so
So you've got no
Like
thoughts on it.
I haven't come across this story before.
All right, well, that's something you can add to your list to research. But based on what you were saying, obviously, Muhammad would be evil based on your judgment because he knew what he was doing when he said he's not going to do it, but went back to do it anyway. But he was trying to please his wives. So for me, I get it in the Islamic framework what he was doing. He's trying to please his wife. He's trying to keep the peace. So he just says to them, like, okay, don't worry, I'm not going to do it anymore. But still obviously goes to do it.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know what to say. I don't know what to say because I need to look more into it and the context. There's probably a lot more to say about it.
Obviously, you knew what to say before when I was asking you about a Muslim man lying to his wife
Yeah,
to
because
please her to have another
that
wife. Now, when it's Muhammad and he's basically lying to his wives to continue to pleasure himself with this particular female captive he likes, a Christian captive, actually, funny enough. But now you don't know what to say.
because now this is a specific story, word for word, in the Quran. So I don't want to make any judgments about it before I look into the context of it. Because this is now we're looking at a specific story. Not a hypothetical question. This is an
Okay.
actual thing in the Quran.
It's a specific story which has specific insights. He said to his wives he wasn't going to do anything with them, with this woman, and then he did something with her, continued to do stuff with her, and got caught. So was his lie acceptable? Because it was pleasing his wives.
I don't know. I'll be honest, my morals are telling me no. My morals are saying that story is completely bad, that the Prophet shouldn't be doing any of that. But I need to look more into the context as well.
And you know what Muslims do when you know why? Like, I've said this to you already, but like, stay the way you are. Like, this is good. It's good. Like, questioning stuff, thinking through stuff, reasoning. Like,
yeah,
this is how you are supposed to be. So the reason what's making me say this again is because you're like, well, look, I feel like saying this, but you don't want to say this. And the truth is, a lot of Muslims feel exactly the same way you feel about loads of different stuff. The only difference is they won't openly acknowledge it publicly. So obviously, like I said, we was talking about polygamy. I wasn't even thinking to go back to Muhammad and that particular situation, but whatever you said just made me think about it again. And it's just like,
yeah, that's okay.
Do you get what I'm saying? So it's like, this is where I talk about Muslims malfunctioning. It's like, you have an understanding. You have like, okay, I just made this argument heavily about a generic man lying to his wife to please her. Now he's giving me a specific example, and it's the example to me, like, it's your prophet. So now it's like, whoa, like, should I have the same energy I just had? Well, if you're going to be consistent, yes, but it's Muhammad. So it's like, well, I can't really do that, because if I do that, then it's a problem. That's what Islam does to you.
That's what you think Islam does.
Yes, that's what it does. It causes you to look at something and be like, I'm arguing all the way left about this particular situation. No, my husband shouldn't ever lie to me about this particular thing. It's not pleasing. If he's doing that, Allah will know his intentions in his heart. He's being evil, he's being wicked, etc. Then we start talking about Muhammad specifically. And Muhammad lied to his wives about not going to this woman again. And it's like, but he did it. And then he got caught, and then he gets revelation. And it's just like, why not have the same consistent energy that you had previously now on a specific example?
Yeah. No, I agree.
See? And this is the reason I'm thanking you, is because, again, most Muslims will not acknowledge this openly. but you see it.
Yeah.
You actually see the problem and the dilemma. This is why this is actually such a good conversation to have, because when you're having conversations with people, you want everybody to come to the table and be honest and to be reasonable. I've already, for the most part, like I've had my reservations, obviously, like I said, but for the most part, you've been very reasonable with the stuff we're talking about, which is how we should be across the board.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm saying it's like you see the problem and it's difficult for you. I get that. But don't let anything rob you of following and walking towards truth more and more. Like from a Christian perspective, we are compelled. We always have to go towards the truth. We can't like tell lies just to make things sound good. Because you see what you were saying earlier on? You were saying, well, look, if the guy lies, it's going to be a problem down the line, right?
Yeah.
That's how it is for us as Christians. We can't go out and start telling lies, because if we're telling lies, like knowingly telling lies, and we go out and we start telling lies, we know it's not going to work out for us in the end. This is why when I have these sorts of conversations, I'm going to be talking about Quran verse. I'm going to be talking about hadith, which I know what I'm talking about. Because if I don't know, and if I just came on this live stream and I was just lying, like, oh, Islam teaches this, the Quran teaches this, the hadith teaches this, that wouldn't actually go well for me as a Christian. Like, that wouldn't actually help, because Muslims would just be like, well, he's just a liar. But I'll have conversations like this, and we can have conversations about all of this different stuff, and you can go and look it up and research it, and like, yeah, he said this, and this is where it's said, and this is all on even, you're like, yeah, I'll just say that. So you see the problem.
Yeah, I agree. I don't want to go against my own morals, but at the same time, I do want to I do want to do more research into Islam, because ultimately I do think it teaches a lot of good things, but I don't want to pick and choose when it comes to religion. I want to embrace the religion as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
You don't have to be in these kind of conundrums, you know that, right?
No, I think I need to sit in discomfort for now and just do more research into my religion. I don't want to completely just take a step back and say, no, I'm just going to leave Islam. I do need to do more research.
Please do. And look, we had these conversations today on various different topics. This was such a good conversation. You obviously are welcome to come back and have a conversation whenever I'm talking about Islam again in the future in regards to Christianity. And go and research Muhammad and the slave girl and that drama it caused in his household. And yeah, maybe next time we can talk more about it, and just you can tell me what you think. But yeah. Anything else you want to say?
I don't have much to say. Like, when I first joined the live, I was prepared to say some things about Christianity, but we've already said a lot anyways. So
what did you like specifically about Christianity? What was it? What questions? What?
That there are I have read some verses that I just have
Say that again. You said there are questions. What?
So I do have some questions about the Bible, specifically verses in the Bible that I don't think are fair when it comes to women, that I've just read, but I don't know the context of them. So maybe you can tell me the context of them.
Okay, give me an example.
Okay, the verse I have in mind, I think, is in Corinthians, but I don't know exactly I think I have a screenshot of it on my phone. So let me just give me a second.
Do I say pray for the guests, guys? Pray for them.
Okay, so in Corinthians, in 11:4, it says, so the verse was talking about how women should cover their hair when she's praying,
Hmm.
but it also says in that verse, every man who prays or prophesies with his head covered dishonors his head. So I don't know why you're saying that women should cover their head, but then saying the opposite for men, saying that no, men shouldn't cover their head. But why is that the most like polar opposite standard for men and women when it comes to praying?
I guess when you read through the passage, it talks about, one of the things it talks about is like, I guess it's a passage. It talks about hair, right? And it's basically talking about how hair is seen as different. It's viewed as different from a man to a woman. So it talks about how a woman's hair is her glory, which is why, if you go down the line of reasoning that it's talking about covering it, why it's saying be covered, etc. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But like specifically, it says that a man who covers his head has dishonored his head. Why that verse? Why? I want to know more about why it's saying that about the man.
Yeah, because it's not the same. It's different. It's like, I'll give you an example. I think about it like this, right? This can help you understand it. So imagine you've got a guy who's out and a woman that's out, and it's not the best example, but like her chest is covered, his chest isn't covered. You would look at it like the woman needs to cover her chest because there's something special there which shouldn't be seen. Whereas a guy, you wouldn't, like, most people like wouldn't even, like, he doesn't have anything special there. So it's not the best example, but it can help you understand to a certain degree.
I understand. Okay, no, there's one thing that I actually want to talk about. It just came in my mind, but I think like it's one of the main things that I want to talk about.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's the story of Adam and Eve in the Bible.
Okay, what about it?
So obviously we both believe in Adam and Eve, but we are both aware of the minor differences in the Bible versus the Quran when it talks about Adam and Eve.
Minor.
And maybe not minor, but like I know, like, you know, fine, big differences between Adam and Eve in the Bible and the Quran.
I was gonna say you've been sticking mostly to the Quran, but there's a hadith that say like Adam was like 60 feet high or whatever, or something like that.
Okay, so the differences that
yeah, go ahead.
the differences that I know is that in the Bible it says that Eve ate the fruit first, but in the Quran it doesn't specify who ate it first. The Quran just says that both of them sinned. I know that in the Bible it says that because Eve ate the fruit and Eve has sinned because she ate the fruit from the tree of good and evil. The punishment for all women later down the line is painful childbirth and like all of these punishments. But what I like about the Quran, when it comes to the Genesis story, it doesn't focus on Eve being at fault or Eve eating the fruit first. And even in the Quran, when both Adam and Eve ate the fruit, they recognized their sin, apologized, Allah forgave them, and then just sent them to earth anyways as a mission or a test for the rest of mankind. So I just want to know what your interpretation of is. Do you think original sin is fair? Do you think it's fair that the focus was put on Eve? Like Eve, I mean, like, I guess it makes sense because you guys say that Eve ate the fruit first. And what do you think about the punishment for all women being painful childbirth because of what Eve did?
Okay, so you ask some good questions.
Okay, yeah.
What I'll say first is original sin isn't necessarily like relevant to the other questions you asked because.
Okay.
So I'll kind of sidestep that one, but
that's fine.
But the other questions, right? I don't even know why my Bible's frozen. But okay, what I was going to say is I don't think. Firstly, the Bible is giving us just details. It's just telling us Genesis, where Adam and Eve is part of the Bible, where it's giving us like what we'd say as history. So it's telling us what happened. So I don't know about you, but like when I hear stories, I want as much information as possible. Like, don't sugarcoat it. Tell me what happened. So if the Quran doesn't say who sinned first or whatever, okay, but the Bible obviously in Genesis is telling us exactly how things panned out. There's some deep stuff behind that, but I won't go that deep. But if you think about the account, hold on. Okay, if you think about the account, right, when you read it in Genesis chapter 3, my computer's frozen, so I can't show it to you right now, but I'll say it this way. So basically, Eve is talking to the serpent, talking to the devil. He tricks her into eating the fruit. Adam obviously now eats the fruit. He's not ignorant, he's not tricked. He just does it because his wife's done it, right? So when God comes, this is why it's interesting that people say that it's focused on Eve. It says, I'll read it from my phone. It says, what verse is it? So chapter 3, this is all in Genesis chapter 3 if you want to read it at some point in the future, right? So she's eating it, he's eating it. It says in chapter 3, verse 8 and 9. I'll read it to you. It says, "And they heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord amongst the trees of the garden." So obviously they've eaten the fruit now. They've realized now they're naked, they're sinful. They now hear God and they run away. All right, they hide themselves in the trees. Now look what God says and who he speaks to. "And the Lord God called unto Adam and said unto him." Who did he call?
Adam.
Right? See, he didn't call Eve. And the reason he didn't call Eve is because Adam was to be the head. He's the one who you hold responsible. If you think about, like, when it comes to, I'll give you an example, like with my children, right? My oldest is my daughter. And I always say to her a lot of the time, like, look, you're the oldest. I expect the most from you. Like, make sure you're on point. And I'm not going to go to like one of the younger ones and say, I expect the most of you. Like, you ain't been here as long as she's been here. Does that make sense? Okay, so God speaks to Adam specifically. He doesn't go to Eve. And he says, "Where are you?" So then in verse 10, Adam says, I heard your voice in the garden and I was afraid because I was naked and I hid myself. So then God says to Adam again, he's not even speaking to Eve. He says, "Who told you that you're naked?" This is verse 11. "Have you eaten of the trees where I commanded you not to eat?" So he's now asking him. Notice this is all to Adam. Nothing to do with Eve, even though Eve ate the fruit first. And then he says, which is always makes me laugh. In verse 12 it says, "The man said, the woman who you gave me, she gave me of the tree and I did eat." And this is the point now when Adam, basically cowardly, pushes the blame to his wife and to God basically. "God, it's your fault. The woman that you gave me, she's the reason why I ate it." Then at that point, God now starts speaking to Eve. You get it? So then he now starts talking to her. Same way he spoke to Adam initially. Like, hey, what's going on? She says the serpent tricked me. He deceived me. I ate it. Then, which is also interesting, after he speaks to the woman, she says it's the serpent. So notice what's happening here. God speaks to Adam, even though he sinned second. Adam pushes it to Eve. Eve pushes it to the serpent. Then God speaks to the serpent. And he says, basically, because you've done this to the serpent, you're going to be judged, etc. Then he says to the woman, "This is your punishment." And then he says to the man, "This is your punishment as well." So think about it like this. This is what I thought about when you first brought this up. Number one, Eve isn't focused on. She's not even like spoken of first. God goes straight to Adam, which was the right thing to do. Even though she committed the sin first, even though Adam is trying to blame her, God still held Adam as responsible first and foremost. Secondly, they all got punished, which makes sense. You do something wrong, you're most likely going to get some sort of punishment. But he says to the woman, you're going to have this punishment, But notice that the punishment that he gives to the woman is only for a specific like time, if you get what I'm saying. So in childbearing, number one, women aren't always pregnant. Women aren't always going through childbearing. And even if you think about the second part of it, you talk about like the time of the month, right? That's not the whole of the month. It's a specific time of the month. Do you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The reason I'm saying this is because when you think about what God said to Adam now, he said work is going to be hard for you going forward. And that's something which happens every single day. That's not like
Fair enough.
that's not a certain time of the month. That's not only 9 months out of the times you get pregnant. It's every day. So he spoke to Adam first, and the punishment he gave to Adam was a daily, continual thing. So people who say, oh, like God focused on the woman, like most people that say that haven't read the passage to know that God went right to the man, and it was the man that got the more severe punishment.
Fair enough. I understand.
So like, have you read you read the Bible before? Like anything in the Bible?
No, I think maybe I should read the Bible, like in terms of I'm just like at a stage where I just want to learn a lot about the Abrahamic faiths.
Yeah. Like
I'm going through the English translation of the Quran at a very slow pace, but in summer on increase. I'm reading I have a book called the Sunnah, and that has hadiths from the Prophet. I haven't started reading it yet because I just got it the other day, but I'm gonna start reading that. Maybe I should get a Bible just to read it, but
yeah, I would definitely recommend you do that. I would just say, like, a lot of people say start with the Gospel of John, and I was gonna say you should start with the Gospel of John, and even just to frame, like, to think about the conversations we've had today, like, read through the Gospel of John and like look and observe how Jesus treats women specifically in the Gospel of John. Even if you could do that, or even the Gospel of Luke. Considering that's what we spoke about today, you go through those, either pick John or pick Luke, and see how Jesus interacts with women, like from the beginning to the end. Like it's so different when you look at Muhammad and when you look at Jesus. It's uncomparable. But you wouldn't know that if you don't read about what Jesus did and what he said and all of that stuff. So
okay. Do you think it's good enough if I just download the Bible app and read it from there?
yeah, like loads of people read the Bible on their phone. They don't read a physical copy. Loads of people do.
Fair enough.
The important thing is that you read it. Like that's how when
but
you read it.
It's not like I'll be honest, I don't see myself being Christian as of now, but I will read it with an open mind 100%, because I do want to I as I said, I want to and I need to learn more about my faith and Judaism and Christianity.
Yep.
So I will read the Bible with an open mind. However, I'll be honest, with not really with the intention where like I might convert.
That's just like people read it like that all the time.
I genuinely only see myself in two different situations, and it would just be me staying Muslim or leaving Islam and not being religious.
So if tell me about that. Like, if you can see yourself at some point, based on whatever would happen, potentially leaving Islam. If you ever left Islam, why would religion as a whole be off the table for you?
Because in terms of the Abrahamic faiths, Islam is, I like that Islam is so monotheistic. I don't like the idea about the Trinity at all. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't truly make sense to me. And I think when it comes to the oneness of God, it just really makes sense in Islam. And yes, I need to learn about the context of these hadiths and these stories about the Prophet and the female sex slaves and all that sort of stuff. But at the same time, the Quran gives clear financial rights to women. which I do really appreciate. And I don't know if the Bible gives those clear rights to women as the Quran does, because the Quran is very clear in terms of rules. I think you and I can both agree on it. It just sets rules, right? It's it is a rule book. It has a bunch of rules, and Islam is very clear on the rules. And I like that Islam is clear on the rights that that Muslim women are granted. So I just don't see I don't see myself being Christian. I really like, if I Islam and Christianity, I do prefer Islam 100%, but it is biased because I haven't brought up in Islam. But that's why, as I say, like my mind could change. Like I know that. That's why I want to approach the Bible with an open mind.
Obviously, like, I'm not surprised you prefer Islam. Obviously, you're a Muslim. So
Yeah.
the things you're saying right now aren't surprising to me. They're not shocking to me.
Yeah, like
I get it.
know
I get
it is coming from like 100% a biased perspective. I can't deny that. I was literally raised in the religion. But it's also like a mix of like my parents being really good people, really like really loving parents, and seeing them practice like Islam with like just such passion and dedication. It does inspire you as a child to just stick to that religion.
Obviously, no one really wants to grow up and make their parents unhappy and do something which we know would like break their heart. And for the most part, like, you don't have to do that. Do you only like the places where I would say we have to be willing to do that is when it's in the pursuit of truth. So if, like, I'll give you this example, right? If imagine you're walking down a road and you realize your parents are in front of you, and you realize somehow that at the end of this road is going to be a cliff, and everyone that gets to the end of the road is going to fall off the cliff. You would do everything you can to get them from that road, right?
Yeah.
Even if they believed you getting off that road and going a different way, or trying to get them off the road was a bad thing, you would say, no, like, this is so true. I need to save them. I need to get them help before it's too late. So in areas of truth, that's like an area where I get it. Like, we have family, we have friends who will be broken by decisions we make in life at times. But there are times in life which we have to say truth matters more than everything else, because it's so important. If you like I said, like, I get everything you're saying, and I understand that where you're at right now, you've never read the Bible. So do you get what I'm saying? We've spoken about a couple of things today. I'm not necessarily expecting you to turn around and be like, oh yeah, like I leave Islam and I hate Islam. Like, no, that's not where I thought this was necessarily going to go. But this is why I was saying to you earlier on, I keep saying it to you, just make sure you keep pursuing truth and being reasonable, and not just taking stuff just because someone says it. Like, that's the worst kind of thing to be in, where it's just like, oh, well, someone said this to me, or these scholars said it, so I just say it. I just take it. Like, trust me, there's Christian scholars who say some crazy stuff, which could make certain things in the Bible easier to explain, but it just doesn't sound true. It's not true. It doesn't sound reasonable. And I'm free to say that. I don't care just because a scholar says something which may make it easier to explain certain things. I'm just going to go with it. No, that's not how truth works. You just pursue it and let it lead you to where you're supposed to go. It's supposed to lead you, like, to God, right? So you should never be afraid to pursue truth and where it will take you to, because it will lead you to God.
I definitely hear what you're saying. I will read the Bible with the open mind, but the same thing with the Quran and the same thing with the hadith. Like, I am moving through all of these books with an open mind.
All right. Well, like I said to you before, this was a really good conversation. Thank you for being so reasonable. This is not what I typically get.
Yeah, no, I like this conversation. It definitely, I learned a lot that I didn't know before. So
All right. Well, like, don't be afraid to come back at some point in the future. Hopefully, we can talk again. All right.
yeah, of course, yes.
All right. God bless.
Bye.
Guys. Such a good conversation. I wish more of the conversations with Muslims would go this way. Like, I get it, like, it's a hot topic. We're talking about emotional stuff, things which matter to us very dearly, but we should still be able to have conversations like we just had, where we don't have to agree. We may disagree on certain stuff, but we can speak in a respectful way, in a truthful, honest way, and still agree to disagree on so much stuff, and it be fine. It doesn't have to be a constant malfunctioning frenzy. But again, guys, this is why I always say, like, pray for the people that we have conversations with, because some of them are clearly open, like this last conversation, which is really good. This is what you want to see. But then at the same time, this is what I said to her. There are people out there who are as open as what she is, but won't admit it openly. And this is why when we pray for these people, just for God to continue to minister to them, continue to send light to them, to show them, like, the Christians that they probably have heard of, we're not all like that, right? There are Christians out there who take the religion seriously and are willing to have conversations. So yeah, that was a good conversation. That's why I let it go for so long. But they reported it. What did I say? I think they reported it like 3 times today. Because I was on the conversation with her, I didn't like restart, which probably would have made it more. But I guess I'm happy to be wrong today that we didn't get 7 live stream restrictions and reports, because that was a good conversation, which was worth all the time we took in that conversation. And yeah, this is what you want, right? Someone who answers questions honestly, and not just blindly following whatever the Quran or what people say. So yeah, man, that was a good conversation. You know, I'm not even, yeah, I think that was such a good conversation. It's a good time for us to just wrap the stream up for today. What a way to get back to Women Wednesday. But contrast the conversation we had with the previous Muslims in comparison to that last conversation with that Muslima. See? That's why I continue to have those conversations, because I know, like, as much as there's Muslims out there who've drunk the Kool-Aid and believe that they are half-brained because of what Muhammad said, there are females out there like that who prove Muhammad wrong. So I know someone else is here trying to call in. Guys, I'm not taking any more calls today, man. Like, I ain't gonna let a Muslim try and sabotage the good vibe we've got here on the stream. So guys, again, thank you all for tuning in to the live stream today. Thank you for those who hit the like button. Thank you for those who followed, who subscribed, who sent in hearts. Thank you for those who sent in super chats and donations. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. I pray God blesses you and rewards you. And guys, we'll be back. If not before then, we'll be back on Monday. Same schedule, same way. Like Mondays and Wednesdays, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UK. He came to set the captives free. And this is why we do this. Just to shine the light that we have on those that we come into contact with. And let God do the work. Like, it's God that does this stuff, right? God uses us to plant seeds, to water. God is the one, the Bible says, that brings increase. So pray for all of the people we spoke to today, familiar voices, even unfamiliar voices, people we spoke to for the first time ever today, and pray that God would continue to do what he's doing, continue to work on their behalf and lead people closer and closer to the truth. The truth is obvious and it's there for all of us to see. And this is why these conversations are so good. Because when you have these conversations, We can hear what a Christian says. We can hear today, for example, what a Muslim says. And people are wise enough. People are smart enough to make the right decision. So God bless you guys. We're going to go out with the Apologetic Arena anthem. God bless, guys, and I'll see you soon.
We take thoughts captive, we pull lies down. Apologetic arena, lions wear the crown. Bold as lions stand and fight, truth shines bright in the night. Arguments fall when the word comes through. Arena live, we coming for you.
Not carnal weapons, strong in Christ. Truth cuts deep, yeah, truth precise. Every high thing coming down. Watch those arguments hit the ground. First century at lions roar. Christians bled on the arena floor. Now roles reversed, hear that sound. We the lions all around. What's the context? Say it loud. Truth stands tall, we ain't bowed. When the word speaks, error fades. Light shining in every debate.
We take thoughts captive.
We pull lies down. Apologetic arena, lions wear the crown. Bold as lions stand and fight. Truth shines bright in the night. Arguments fall when the word comes through. Arena live, we coming for you. Ecosmios runs the show. Zara Grace keeps order though. Moderators hold the line, keeping everything aligned. Hebrew Israelites, atheists too. Rabbis talking old school views, fibbing for Rook in every claim. Step in the arena, leave maimed. Don't look down, you bleeding on the floor. Game over, hear that lion roar. Hey, hey, don't look down, you bleeding on the floor. Hey, hey, game over.
Beat you lightly with a Miss Wax stick. Every argument falls real quick. Spiritually neuralized, can't see clear. Truth right there, but they disappear. That might be clip of the month, we say. Another debate gone sideways today.
What's the context?